Who is this? We're calling you, sir, to because we're really concerned about your extended car warranty.
Oh, wait. A car warranty? I actually do need that.
Take two. We'd like to talk to you about our Lord and Savior, Godzilla.
Oh.
Godzilla.
I do need that. I've been looking for a savior, and so I'm just lucky that you called. This is, man.
You know, one day I'm hoping somebody just opens the door and says, you know, have you found Jesus? And say, oh, you guys lost him again? Jesus Christ, put a bell around his neck or something.
Yeah, I like that one. That's funny.
How are you, my friend?
Oh, I'm doing great. How you all doing?
Yeah, we're doing all right.
Alive.
Yeah, alive. Can't complain. Even if we did, who would listen?
Yeah, can't complain. Nobody listens.
Exactly.
That's right.
Okay, so we were supposed to have an extra host today, but he bailed out, so that's not happening. So we'll just have the three of us as per usual, and that's fine by me.
Okay, sounds good.
And
so Robert didn't want. He was, he had to back out.
no, it's not Robert.
We were going to have a co-host in addition to Robert.
Yeah, Robert's a guest, but another co-host. You know, as you know, I've been putting out that some people, are fans of the show, and I said, hey, why don't you come with us as a co-host for a day or something like that, so they can get even more immersed into the experience. So
that's right. I remember you saying that.
Yeah, his name was
cool. Yeah.
Thomas Bear, I think was his name, and but I messaged him earlier on this week. Said, "Hey, you still with us?" He said, "Unfortunately, I have to back out. I've got a friend that's coming over," and I said, "That's fine. I'm not going to force him to be with us."
Yeah.
Because there's always that element, when you get an extra person there, you never know exactly how they're going to react on the show, right?
Right, yeah, and it did get like on Utah Outcast a couple times. It gets just weird sometimes. We're like, okay, we gotta hold on.
Well, some people do good. So some people do good in this medium, and other people it's just not for them. So you never know. I'm not saying that Thomas is not that guy, but I'm just saying sometimes there's some people that I brought on the show like in the old days, and they're just like completely silent and void. It's like you're supposed to be interacting a little bit.
They don't know you're here if you don't talk.
Yeah, exactly. You do have an opinion, right? I mean, otherwise I might as well just mute your microphone and just watch you blink.
Yeah.
Or do like Scott and have a nap.
Yeah.
Knocked out.
That was so funny because the last time, the last LATV one, Scott was one of the co-hosts at the time, and I don't know. I guess he didn't sleep that night, or something like that. And we used to start at 10 a.m. And he's on the couch, and all of a sudden, we're looking at his head, his back, his eyes are closed, and I'm chatting along, and all of a sudden you can just hear. And I'm looking at him, and I grab a piece of paper, I just crumple it up and just toss it at his face. He just wakes up. I said, dude, is the show this boring?
Right.
Oh boy, okay.
Thing ready.
Okay, we're all set to go?
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm trying really hard to be awake.
You're trying really hard.
Okay.
Okay. Wakey. In 3, 2.
Hi, this is X from the Utah Outcast, and I took a...
Let me try that again. Just raise
That's
the
kind
volume.
of quiet.
Yeah, I'll just raise the volume a bit. Take 2.
Hi, this is X from the Utah Outcast, and I took a left at the valley.
I know we shouldn't have to scream that we're atheists. We don't have non-astrologers and all that. But with religious people taking over the world, we can either speak up or be pushed into a corner.
I'm proud to be an atheist, a skeptic, a non-believer, an infidel, a heathen. I call it how I see it. I say it's ignorance and you just call it faith and unsubstantiated claims. That's something to be ashamed. I'm an atheist.
Coming at you with a coy smile and a wink, this is Left of the Valley 2.0. My name is Kevin, and I just told my suitcases that we won't be going on vacation this year, so now I'm dealing with emotional baggage. Joining me is the new team. Roll their eyes as I say these very words. If you unfriend her, there's a $29.99 reconnection fee. Sabrina.
Hey, how you doing?
And if you want to impress him with your car, it better be a taco truck. Brent Lee.
That's right.
How you doing, guys?
Good, how are you?
Welcome back. Hope you had a great week. This is your
That's
cue
my
to
cue
answer.
to talk.
This is your cue to talk.
Yes, yes, it was a good week.
How about you, Brent?
It's a fantastic week. It's been
Fantastic. I'm glad to hear it. Welcome back. So today we'll have a great talk. We'll be talking philosophy with our friend from the Right to Reason podcast, Robert Stanley. But first, let's do a bit of chit-chat. All right. You guys ever heard of this place called Texas?
Maybe.
Texas, something like that. Texas. Apparently, it's the land that time forgot.
And I have heard that.
They actually have schools now.
Really?
Yeah, they do. And there's a school district in Texas that assigned a, quote, chivalry assignment in an English course. This is at the Shallow Water High School in Lubbock, Texas. Lubbock, whatever. So the point was to show the chivalry code of medieval time, basically, still carries to modern day. So, so this made a lot of headway because the lessons call essentially for girls to dress, quote, in feminine manners to please the man. It also added they were supposed to address men respectfully by title with a lowered head. There's supposed to be no whining. This is all for girls, right? They're not supposed to initiate conversation. They're not supposed to criticize a male. And they're supposed to walk behind men. They're supposed to cook, clean, and obey any reasonable request by a male.
Sounds like what I was taught in Sunday school.
I was going to say, yeah, if it's evangelicals or what, I don't back then, I don't know.
It is Texas.
I'd like to remind everybody this is like 2021 and not like 1412.
No joke, I saw a meme this morning, of a lady holding, one of those handwritten signs, and it said, girls, you don't need college, you need
a Bible and a
and a cookbook.
Yeah, I know. Isn't that incredible?
And that's that. I mean, hey, it's put online, so you know it's new.
I think I really want to especially hear from you, Sabrina, because being the female on the podcast here, this directly, of course, affects. I mean, I know there was a bit of an assignment like that for males too, but I'm sure it was nowhere near this ludicrous. I guess males probably had to, I don't know, fight with swords once in a while or something like that, you know?
Just walk around, be confident, and go talk to the ladies because they can't talk to you.
Yeah, they probably had to address girls as my lady or something like that, you know, and maybe like a nice prostration bow to them once in a while or something like that. But don't tell me that the guys had to basically cook clean and be respectful and just talk coy.
But that's not chivalry. In those days, that's not what chivalry would have been. So that wouldn't be what they would be expecting the men to do, I would think.
That's a good question. I mean, I'm sure there was some expectation of the boys too, but
I mean, if they're being meant to recreate what happened then, but it just doesn't apply.
I just don't understand what is the point of this? What is the point of this exercise? This is an English course. What is the point of it? I mean, are you supposed to show that? Oh, you know what, girls, you have it so well today. You might as well not complain because this was the way it was back then. What is the point of this assignment?
That could be, or to keep us submissive as well.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, we're subjected to this day in, day out, all the time, everywhere you go, anywhere. Even there's supposed safe places on the internet, and men will impersonate women to infiltrate and come in there, and you can always tell because of the types of posts that they post that it is men purely looking for photos of women.
Yeah. I mean, there's still some misogyny in every culture, especially as soon as religion is involved. Around here, where we are, there's a lot of Canadians of Indian descent, and so when you see some of the older generation, you see them walking down the street. The male's walking like 3 steps ahead of her for some reason, and they're driving in the car. Culture. The males are in the front seat, the girls are in the back seat. It's like this is just so.
That's a very cultural.
Yes, and it's dedicated by faith. And it's another reason why religion is so stupid to begin with. It's like, why? You don't need this. You really don't need this. There's no point to it whatsoever, aside, feeling emasculated somehow and need to assert your dominance. It's like, what the hell is the point of this? You just
they gotta. Men have to walk in front, because if women are out in front, they're gonna be knocking into everything. They can't walk right.
That's right. They can't walk a straight line. I mean, it's well known. They'll have boobs bouncing around. It's like, what the hell?
I'm telling you, in my case, that's actually not far off from the truth. I can fall walking upstairs. So.
Hey, me too. It's okay.
I can understand. Some amount of quote unquote chivalry. Like a guy opening a door for his woman or something like that, or just the old when you're walking down the sidewalk, the guys will have it often on the outside. It's just a protective instinct. And that's fine. But this is taking it way too far. It's like this is outrageous.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
I don't even expect doors to be open for me. If you want to walk on the outside, sure. It really doesn't make a difference.
Never initiate conversation? I mean, are you kidding me?
That is something very much taught to
that would kill me.
Girls in church. When I got into when I was baptized, I chose to be baptized at 12 in my church. And so at that time they take you and they do teachings, and so they were teaching me things that they hadn't taught me yet because it was about being a woman, and being baptized. So now I'm kind of getting to the age of being a woman. And one of them was that once I was baptized, if I was in the church, I would not be allowed to speak unless first spoken to. And my first question to that was, well, what happens when we're in Sunday school and my youth group leader's male? I can't speak to him without him speaking to me first. Oh, no, it doesn't count there. It only counts when you're, sitting in for your breaking of bread and wine. and so, okay, so there's that.
I believe those rules are actually from the book of Timothy or Paul, one of them. It's
one of them.
It's pretty ridiculous.
There's God's head of man, and man is the head of the woman, is what we were taught.
Yeah. And this is so ridiculous because it's high school. So imagine high school boys having to initiate the conversation. The only thing they're going to be talking about are fast cars or something shitty like that, or the latest app
or they're not talking at all.
Yeah, it's like, God damn it. I mean, when I was 16 years old, it's all I knew, really. It's like...
Right, but 16-year-olds today, they're nothing like the 16-year-olds.
No, I agree, but don't tell me they're well-versed in a whole lot of subjects either, right? Not necessarily. No. You need to have her to be able to initiate some conversations too, because you're a 16-year-old. Whether you're male or female, you don't know nothing. So you need both of them to initiate to have some semblance of conversation. Anyway, moving on. Still in Texas, and this is from Pathos. There's a newspaper called Orange Leader in Texas, and it published an essay by Karen Stevens, and she's the director of the local Meals on Wheels. And she published an essay in a paper, and this is like a real big paper apparently, on why creationism is true. The first sentence she writes, it reads, "I believe that dinosaurs walked this earth, but not 140 million years ago, like scientists claim." This is where you cue the eye roll. This is what happens when you take your research from the Flintstones.
Even worse, the Bible.
Of course, creationism has been debunked a long time ago. Even the Smithsonian debunked creationism over a decade ago. She points out in the article that there are cave paintings of woolly mammoth. Well, woolly mammoth is not a dinosaur, okay?
No.
And woolly mammoth are fairly recent, actually. And yes, mankind, I should say, did interact with woolly mammoths. They're extinct though. And also, apparently, there's some cave painting of Triceratops with men. No, that does not exist. I don't care what you say. And
could that be a rhinoceros?
Yeah, maybe. There were some woolly rhinos. There were some.
Yeah, there were.
And they're fairly recent as well. I always think back that for a while there, people were always pointing out to these carvings. There were some carvings on some kind of soapstones, black stones, and there were carvings of dinosaurs. Mm-hmm. And a lot of Christians point to that as proof. Say, yes, you see, this is why we know that dinosaurs were with men. But if you look closely at those carvings, the carving of the dinosaurs on the thing is the old representation of dinosaurs when I was a kid. For example, we talked about this in the past. You know how I was saying that the famous T-Rex? When I was a kid, the animal was depicted completely standing erect with the tail dragging on the ground. That was the wrong picture of the animal. Today we know the animal was not standing like that. It was standing more like the letter T, like a teeter-totter, the tail balancing the front end. But if you look at these old carvings, that's how the dinosaur is depicted, with the tail dragging on the ground, which is the very old depiction of T-Rex. So this is how you know that's a fake.
Yeah,
the animal was never like that. This is just a very recent carving, and it's really hard to identify how old the carving is, because you can do the radiocarbon dating on, not radiocarbon, but you can do dating on the stone itself. So the stone might be very, very old, but the carving could be very, very recent. And Christians just can't get that through their mind, The same thing with Triceratops. The Triceratops, with the horns and the tail dragging on the ground. The animal, we know today, the animal was not like that. But
they'll always be like, "Oh, so see, you don't know everything." Science
yeah, exactly.
I never claimed to, you fucking weirdo.
Right? Science is the first to admit that they're wrong all the time.
And
constantly.
Science is nobody has ever come and said, "Oh my God, your knowledge of Scripture has totally debunked science." That has never happened in the history of mankind.
And I offer $1 million to anyone who can.
Absolutely, I will go into debt and go bankrupt if I
Me
can.
Too.
If that actually happens. Anyway, you guys ever heard of MAGA? Instead of MAGA, MAGA?
No.
Which basically stands for "Make Your Company Great Again."
Okay.
And this is a bit of a joke, and this is coming out of China. There are shops in China that are offering statues of, drumroll, a Trump Buddha.
I have heard this.
This is a statue of the kind of like the Buddha, like little chubby Buddha in a robe.
Yeah, with Trump's face.
But it's Trump. It's Trump. He's kind of leaning, looking kind of solemn, and it's actually known over there. It's known as a dong, which actually means a know-it-all.
Sounds about right.
So they're given to Trump. They're actually shops on Taobao, which is actually an e-commerce platform by Alibaba. They're sitting Trump in a robe, and it sells for about 999 yuan, which is about $153.
Wow.
Taobao has offered also toilet paper with Trump images, and
I'd buy that.
And the toilet brush with Trump, which I actually have one of.
I'd buy that too.
The Chinese actually call him the Dong King because for the Chinese there's a love-hate relationship with Trump, because they hate the fact that he's trying to do these trade wars with China, which is just making their life a bit more miserable. But at the same time, they just find him so funny and entertaining that the guy thinks he knows it all. So.
And it's funny too, because they could easily cash in on the cult with this, because these Trump followers, they're not going to know that.
No,
they're not going to know they're making fun of it. They're going to be like, "Yeah, he totally is a shaman." What? Oh yeah.
I'm actually tempted to just buy 1,000 of them, put them on a truck, and just go down to Louisiana somewhere or somewhere down south and just sell them off the back of the truck for about
rich.
Yeah, $500 a piece and make a fortune.
Yeah.
And you could. They would pay it.
They would. They would pay it.
We'll ship them to Brent, and he can drive
there you
them,
go, Brent.
he's a lot closer than we
He's
are.
a lot closer than me.
Yeah, you can just send them to me. Just send them to me. I can just walk down the street, really. I mean, it's, yeah.
Can you imagine,
man?
Can you imagine you get the typical image, you walk into the backyard, there's a little pond, and the water's dripping nice and clean, and there's a little sand thing there, and then in the middle of it there's a Trump Buddha statue. It's like, oh my God.
Nightmares.
Yeah, it's just like, it was really nice till I saw that. Now I want to vomit. Ugh.
Right? In reality, there's just AK-47s lying all over the ground, beer cans are everywhere. You got the Southern flag on the background, and there's the Buddha.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Trump Buddha.
Oh, well, thank you for that, guys. Sabrina, you got a top 10 for us?
I do have a top 10.
Fantastic.
Let's get over to this. So on March 11th, that was actually the 1-year anniversary of the WHO declaring a pandemic.
The Who?
The Who.
You mean from Whoville?
Whoville.
Okay.
WHO.
The WHO.
I like Who. I've always said Who, and I will continue to do so until the day I die. Who did it? Who did it?
So the 1 year anniversary of the pandemic.
1 year, yeah. Well, since they declared it, the pandemic, as we know, started in January or whatever.
Well, that's when it reached our shores here in North America. I think it started December.
Yes,
Oh,
I think you might be right. Yes,
They were
in
talking about
China.
it. Yeah, they were talking about it, but we were all just kind of like, yeah, all right.
I'm just hoping that it's not like the Spanish flu in 1918, which basically lasted about 3 years.
Yeah, 30 months, I think it was.
Yeah,
wasn't
so
it? We do have the vaccine, so let's see what happens in the next little while. So in honor of this, though, I thought let's just do one last top 10 about COVID, but let's do a little bit of a fun one. We'll do the top 10 quarantine trends of 2020.
Top 10 quarantine trends.
Yes, because what else? All of a sudden, people found themselves with just a ton of time on their hands and nothing to do.
That's interesting. I like that.
That's good.
Yes.
Yeah,
So, and there actually was more than 10. I was shocked. I actually worked through the pandemic a lot because I worked in leasing at the time, so you can imagine how busy I was. Mm-hmm. And I didn't get to enjoy really any of these. So, number 10, Tiger King.
Oh, God.
Right? Who can forget the Tiger King?
Yeah.
It was just perfect timing. So the world went crazy. March 17th is when everything shut down around here, and I think it was around the same pretty much everywhere. And Tiger King came out March 20th. So the Netflix released the Tiger King. For those who, lived under a rock and didn't hear about this, it's a true crime documentary miniseries about the life of Joe Exotic, who's a big cat zookeeper. He keeps tigers. It was full of all the drama that surrounds these small and community of people who have literally roadside zoos in the States. I've never heard of this, but...
There's a lot of drama involved there.
Oh, so much drama. I actually couldn't watch the whole thing. I think I watched 2 episodes or something.
I will proudly claim right here on the show, I have never seen one episode of that thing.
So,
I don't want
that's it. And you think you have permission to talk to people? This is ridiculous. No, you're done for the rest of the
Yeah.
Go watch it right now.
I hereby resign.
Well, you couldn't have missed all the memes, though. It lasted for a good few months.
It's really entertaining, I have to say. I was glued to it I think we watched the whole thing in one day.
Really? No.
It was like 8 hours or something. We were just sitting there. At
first, I thought when they were talking about Tiger King, I thought it was some kind of like polisher for your car or something. It's like some
Tiger
wax.
Balm, you got to sort
Yeah,
back.
something like that. Some kind of wax for your car or something like that. I'll put Tiger King.
So, number 9 on our list, another thing I didn't get to do, is Animal Crossing.
Animal Crossing?
Oh, yeah.
So I didn't think you'd know what it was. You're not much of a video gamer.
No, okay.
So, and I don't know too much about it, but when real life is too much, the best way to escape is to go play a video game. Mm-hmm. So Animal Crossing is a really mindless game that you can play on Nintendo Switch. And it lets people kind of check out and play in a little virtual world, and you just do little menial tasks similar to all the other video games that I sit and play on my phone for hours and hours on it.
Okay.
But I guess it was quite a phenomenon. A bunch of stars started playing it, and I've heard about it all the time. People at work were playing it.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
I don't have a Nintendo Switch, so it's pretty hard to play.
The most mindless video game I ever saw, I actually once owned a copy that was given to me as a joke of a goat simulator. You play as a goat. You're a goat on a farm. Yes, you go around, you're trotting around, you can eat a can or something and just headbutt something or whatever. You're a goat.
Downloading, I need to be a goat. Right.
Number 8 on the list is fostering and adopting animals, especially dogs.
Oh.
So a lot of people realized once they were stuck at home that they had a lot of time on their hands and they wanted to be able to help. So they started fostering dogs. Rescue groups saw a huge increase in applications for both fostering and adopting during the pandemic. And so this is actually one of my very favorite COVID trends.
Yeah, I just hope that once the trend, I should say, once
that we don't end up with a bunch of dogs back in shelters?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Because people have a tendency to do that, especially around Easter.
Well, these are fostering, though, so they aren't actually adopting. They're just keeping them until they find their forever homes.
All right, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So number 7 is Instagram Live. So, because, concerts were canceled and whatnot, so artists and performers had to figure out a way to entertain audiences without having these concerts during the quarantine. Several turned to Instagram Live. So it's been a great way for people to enjoy music and add fun to their lives when there's really nothing else to do. I know there was a DJ that would go live every day on Instagram, and he'd play different radio mixes and made its way onto a couple different TV shows around here.
Idris Elba did it. I know that.
Yeah,
he did a whole DJ thing.
So it gives people
like
that human connection that you weren't getting when you're stuck at home.
It makes me realize this list so far is making me realize I am so not with it.
No.
I gotta be honest, I'm guilty of it. I did go to a virtual concert over the COVID.
I was actually supposed to go.
But,
there's
it was cool.
Two big things happened during
it's
COVID.
Not the same, but,
I had two big things get canceled for COVID. I had a trip booked to Hawaii that ended up not happening. That was supposed to happen in April, and work had bought box seats to the Rolling Stones.
Oh,
and
shit.
that concert got canceled, and that one sucked.
And we ended up playing Goat Simulator instead.
Exactly.
Yeah, I know.
Number 6.
Not the same.
Number 6 on the list are puzzles.
Puzzles?
Yeah.
Puzzles. Okay.
Yes, yeah,
That makes
puzzles.
sense.
It became a really great way to pass the time. They're pretty mindless while you're doing them, and the satisfaction of putting that last piece in just makes it worth doing it. So during quarantine, there were so many hours in the day, and suddenly we just had free time, and puzzles definitely filled that void for a lot of people. Not us, though. Puzzles aren't allowed in this house.
They're not?
It's your rule, not mine.
Well, I didn't make up that rule. I just don't play with puzzles. You go right ahead and make a puzzle all you want.
Just don't expect me to engage.
That's right.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm not gonna. Knowing me, there's gonna be 1,000 pieces, and I'm gonna have 999 of them. I know. It's just what happens with me.
Batting them off the table and playing with them on the floor like a cat.
Yeah, that's right.
I get overwhelmed immediately, so I'm just like,
Really? I love puzzles.
Yeah, too many pieces.
Number 5 on the list is tie-dye.
Okay.
I mean, tie-dye is a trend that just won't ever die.
Since the 60s.
Yeah, every few decades you just kind of see it kind of pop back up, make a reappearance. I did it in the 90s. I don't know if it was pretty big in the 90s.
Yeah, I remember doing it.
Yeah, so during quarantine, it was a fun way to pass the time. I remember seeing it popping up on my news feed all the time and through Instagram. So people were literally tie-dyeing everything. Shirts, pants, masks.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Number 4, TikTok dances.
Oh,
The
jeez.
TikTok dance
yeah.
challenges. I'm guilty of never even having TikTok on my phone.
See, so far I'm 0 for 6 or 8 or whatever.
Yeah,
it is.
yeah, we're on number 6.
Yeah,
so.
I'm 0 for 6.
But I've actually seen a couple on, people share them on Facebook of the TikTok dance challenges, and I think it was an 85-year-old woman who did pretty much every one that came out. That was pretty impressive to watch.
Wow.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah, she was amazing. You're going to be 0 for 7 on this next one.
I'm sure, so far.
I know this one for sure. You don't drink
People
it
say
anyway.
Kevin's got no life whatsoever.
Yeah,
you,
no.
you just plug him in the corner and wait for him to come back for the next show.
Number 3 is Dalgona coffee.
The what?
I knew you'd never
Dalgona
heard of this. Have
coffee?
you heard of it, Brent?
What
Dalgona
is it?
coffee.
Say it one more time.
Dalgona coffee.
Dalgona.
Dalgona or Dalgona. It's a South Korean coffee. It's made with
No, I don't know
instant
this kind of-
coffee, sugar, and water. And you take a hand mixer and you blend it up and you get it really, really thick and frothy. And then you top it with milk and you drink it.
Ooh.
So it's basically an
Sounds
iced
good.
coffee, but yeah, apparently it's quite the treat. I don't drink coffee anymore, so I've never had it.
I don't drink
What?
coffee either.
You don't. How do you think during the day?
I drink
Cocaine.
I drink a lot.
Cocaine, dude, okay?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, I drink a lot of
All right.
tea. Kevin also does not drink coffee,
I never drink coffee at all.
and he
You guys
doesn't drink
Mormon?
tea.
Oh no, you said tea.
No,
Okay.
yeah, no, he doesn't drink tea. I drink tea, but he doesn't. He drinks Pepsi on occasion.
I actually don't drink any hot beverages, really.
No,
Once in
not
a
at all.
blue moon, I'll have a hot chocolate, which is actually lukewarm chocolate, because it's not actually hot.
Yeah.
But hot liquids, I get something against hot liquids for some reason.
Yeah. Number 2 on the list is baking bread.
Oh, well, yeah, okay.
That one seemed to kind of happen overnight. All of a sudden, I'm seeing pictures of people baking banana bread, sourdough bread, all different kinds of buns, loaves, everything. In fact, there was actually a yeast shortage.
What?
Yes, during the beginning of COVID, because
There was a yeast shortage?
There was actually a yeast shortage.
Along with the toilet paper.
Yeah, exactly.
It makes it real easy on all the Jewish people, right? Like, they could, well, there's no yeast anyway. Right?
We're not affected by that, for sure.
And
This is what we were rooting for the whole time, really.
And number one on the list is Zoom. Zoom kind of came part of everyday life overnight again. Everyone was using Zoom for work, school, to socialize. It allowed us to be outside. Mm-hmm. I never did it once because I'm an introvert and I didn't really care that I had to quarantine. There was actually
I used it quite a bit.
Can you believe it? I didn't know this, but Zoom was actually around for 9 years before the pandemic.
Really?
And it was just kind of unknown. And then it suddenly, I guess it was really easy to use. It's free for the first 40 minutes, so businesses were able to take advantage of it really quick to do teleconferencing up to, I think it's 100 people. And so it's better.
But you can also just give people your name and password, and it doesn't matter, because you're probably not going to be using it when they're using it. So that's the only time it's an issue.
And that's one of the downfalls of Zoom is people could randomly put in Zoom meeting IDs, and they were going in and Zoom bombing and putting up in explicit pictures into random meetings that they weren't actually invited to.
Oh, wow.
I don't know if they've actually closed that loop or not, but it was something I was reading about. I thought, oh my god, that's so funny.
So instead of photo bombing, you're Zoom bombing. So all of a sudden you get a meeting, there's 3 people, then there's a 4th person that just appears and it's just some ass or something.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So there you have it.
All the Zoom mishaps that have happened. I love it. It's that's those sort of mishaps give me life.
Yeah, it's like the cat filter. Yeah, the lawyer with the cat filter.
I don't think I know.
He was having a conference and apparently he was quite serious, but he forgot to take the cat filter off.
Oh no!
So you had the picture of a cat with his mouth talking during the conference with a bunch of lawyers.
Well, and I've heard several stories of children doing, online school using Zoom, and parents walking behind them naked, not realizing that the Zoom camera's on. And worse yet, unfortunately, and thank God, and I think one of the reasons Zoom became so popular in that way is that you could put backgrounds up, so it allowed people who live in less than ideal circumstances to kind of hide where they're living so that they're not getting ridiculed when they go back to school. So, there you have it.
That was cool.
Yeah,
that was cool. I mean, I even saw something on Facebook today that apparently, because Zoom has become so prevalent now as a form of communication, there's even apparently some group of women that are saying now there's a certain hand gesture you can make in the video, which will determine that you're in distress.
Good.
If you're talking to somebody, but I don't know, let's say you're a woman that's being abused and your husband is in the background. If you do a certain hand gesture, you're basically saying to people, "Yeah, I'm in distress here. Send the police" or something like that. So that's pretty cool too.
Maybe they were doing SOS. SOS.
I don't know.
I mean, it's sad that we have to do things like that.
It is sad,
in a society, but
you have to be careful with these too, because I'm saying this, but I'm not going any further because I don't know the veracity of it or not. Yeah. For example, for the longest time, people used to say that when you go to an ATM and if you're being mugged,
backwards.
if you pin your PIN number backwards, the machine will dispense the money, but the cameras will be activated.
Yeah, that's not how it works.
I've heard that.
Yeah, but apparently that's not true.
It's not true.
Apparently it's not true.
No, it's not.
Which is a shame because I think
cameras are activated in any event. The cameras are always there.
Yeah,
so
they're always active. Okay, that sounded off.
Yeah, if you're taken to an ATM, you just put your PIN number in and give them whatever's there.
No, but I still think it's a great idea, though. I think it's a great idea because if the machine could actually alert the police what's going on.
If it's alerting the police and it's bringing the police to the door, then okay.
I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, it's just something that's not been programmed.
Yeah, all right. Well, that's okay.
There you go.
Well, what a stupid urban legend, man. Urban legends are supposed to be cool and scary, typically. What a fucking dumb one. Jeez Louise.
Well,
yeah, same with if you call a 911 and order a pizza. You've not heard that?
No.
So if you're in danger, if you're in same thing, it's always women in domestic violence, and that's probably why I've heard it, and maybe you haven't. But if you are in a situation where you're being beaten, you can just call 911 and tell them you want a medium pepperoni pizza. And they'll immediately send help. This also isn't true. However, one, it's become viral, so it's kind of become known. But if you call 911 and say, I want a medium pizza, that 911 operator is going to say, are you okay?
Yeah,
and
of course.
you say no. And then they say, do you need help? Yes, I'd love that to be delivered.
Yes, exactly.
And then
you can kinda,
police are going to come. Oh, what's your address? And then boom, you're giving on your,
Exactly.
So
Right.
you can do it that way, but it's
Extra
not something that
anchovies.
they're not trained to know that.
I feel like you'd have to be with a either really dumb guy that's the abuser or
Right?
a really
You're
drunk
being
guy.
beat. Hold on. I just want to order a pizza. Which is another reason why it's
I
just...
got the black guy gave me a hankering for some pepperoni.
Yeah, but it has happened, and people have gotten help that way.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool. That's it.
Yeah, you can actually you can press a button a certain number of times, and it'll automatically call 911.
Huh.
That is a truth.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
Okay.
your cell phone has
Fascinating.
that capability.
Wow, I didn't know that
Holy
either.
shit.
I guess you're right, though. It would be a pretty dumb guy saying, honey, how come the pizza place has only got 3 digits on its phone number?
Yeah, you can send out an SOS. So on your phone, if you're sending out an SOS, I believe it texts your emergency contacts, and then your emergency contacts can. And if you do it a certain, I don't know enough details about it. I don't want to.
We should almost do a show about that.
Yeah.
A show to how to get out of trouble and stuff like that. That'd be a great guest to have.
All the little tricks that you can do to do sort of a flare, effect. Really,
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
All right, my friend Brent, do you have another brilliant moment for us?
I do.
Brought to you by religion.
So this one kind of hits home for me too, because I was homeschooled by evangelicals and was very much bubbled into our little tiny existence of just being around people that believed exactly the same thing. And so it's the headline. This comes to us from the Friendly Atheist blog, of course. It's probably my favorite website.
Mm-hmm.
Arkansas lawmaker files bill to teach creationism in science
there
class.
we go.
Oh, no.
There we go.
In science
They
class,
never give up, do they? They never give up.
teach
They don't.
creationism if you must, but not in science class.
Well, there's a place to teach it. It's called church.
Exactly.
That's where it's
Yeah.
taught.
Yeah.
It's not science. That's what's so frustrating. And at some point, I actually do have one of my textbooks from when I was growing up, and it is the science course, which is all about basically why science is stupid and wrong, and you shouldn't listen to it. Like how that's a science course? Go fuck yourself. I don't know. I can't tell you. I don't know. So having nothing better to do than make kids dumber, Arkansas State Representative Mary Bentley, a Republican, has filed a bill, HB 1701, that would allow public school science teachers to teach creationism, and this is important, as a theory
Oh, God.
of how the Earth came into existence.
Oh, no. Oh, boy.
Because, the Big Bang, they always want to go, oh, but the Big Bang Theory is just a theory.
Yeah, just a theory, they say, right?
I mean, they say that about evolution, too. And it's the Big Bang is separate from evolution. It's not the same field of science.
No, not at all.
No.
And it has nothing. None of it has anything to do with atheism either. But they always put that on our plate anyway.
Of course.
Right, because it's the demonstrable science that, flies in the face of what they need to feel like is actually true.
Mm-hmm.
But this short bill that defies or completely ignores the Supreme Court's ruling against the teaching of creationism, since everyone knows it's all about advancing religion instead of teaching credible science.
Exactly.
That is, and that's exactly what it is. It's indoctrination. And here's the problem with that, because it's not like there's just one religion. There's just one. Kids only belong to one religion. And so whatever, the science teacher or whatnot, whatever religion they believe in, that's the one that's getting taught. Mm-hmm. And it's more than likely going to be some form of Christianity.
If it's in Arkansas, yep.
Right? Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
But if they're going to teach creationism, then they have to teach all the other religions and what their beliefs are, and so that just becomes this huge slippery slope. That,
there's so many things wrong with that. You don't even know where to start. I mean, even first of all, don't these people realize that even just from an economic point of view, you're teaching a generation something not right. If you say, for example, you're going to compete against China, do you really not want to teach the same, at least if not better science, at least the same kind of science the Chinese are learning, to have at least the same kind of edge on the market worldwide.
Yeah.
Or at least make sure that it is science.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
There's so much wrong with this. There's so much wrong with this. You know,
Because they think, I don't know, I feel like they think that if you're teaching, like what we know, what we can demonstrate to be the case, or, at least have the most evidence and support of their conclusions, if you're doing that, then you're basically saying atheism is true.
Yeah.
Which is not, that's not the case. This
That's not
isn't
the
a
case.
dichotomy. You
No,
know what
exactly,
I mean?
exactly.
It doesn't work that way. We're just teaching kids what we can demonstrate, and that's the whole point of science class, is going, I don't know, how do we figure it out? And then trying to fucking figure it out. We're not going, how can we prove that God doesn't exist? Let's all sit down. We really need to figure this out. That nobody's fucking doing that.
Nobody's
We
doing
don't care about your God. He's not that important.
Yeah,
to most
exactly.
people. Like they.
Oh,
such a
yeah,
deal.
it's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. What do you say to people like that? You're in Arkansas. I mean, sorry guys in Arkansas. I'm sure there's many fine people in Arkansas, but you're already not known as the brightest state in the
They're all
states.
trash. No, I'm just kidding.
I mean, the
dead,
last time you guys made the headlines is when there was a Sharpie used to incorporate you guys in the path of a hurricane. I mean,
But that was Alabama, but close.
oh, sorry.
Well, hey.
There we go. It's not even Arkansas. It's Alabama. So it's just shows, right? I mean,
We know the names
different
Arkansas
flags,
and
that's
Alabama. They don't know the names of our provinces, so we're already a step ahead.
yeah.
I know nothing about Canada. It's okay. No, it's all right.
Then we really need to do a pop quiz on Canada.
And I know nothing about America either. Actually,
Let's do it on America and see if I can beat Brent.
I could do a pop quiz, one tailored for either one of you. So I can ask you 5 questions on America and ask him 5 questions on Canada. See what happens.
Dude, I bet you I'll fail both of them.
That's what I mean. Let's give him the edge.
man.
Let's
Like-
give him the edge. We will ask the exact same questions and see who gets a better answer.
Ooh, there we go. Sounds like a plan. Okay,
I'm competitive.
I'll get on this. Oh man. Oh, but creationism is so stupid to begin with. I mean, it's not even a good creation story, and there's so many holes in the story of creation from the biblical standpoint. So many holes you can just drive a semi right through, and it's like people they can't even go there. I mean, just for example, I like to tell the creationists and Christians that, look, in 2000, was it 2011 or 2001? One of the two, anyway. It ends with a 1. Francis Collins pulled out the Human Genome Project, right? Where they basically analyzed the human DNA. They basically analyzed the entire string of human DNA. And
I think it was 11.
I think it was 11. And they come to the conclusion that at some point in time, not only was there never a one man, one woman thing, that has never happened in the history of our species. All right? It says the smallest number of Homo sapiens we ever had, because we did come close to extinction, was about between 10 and 20,000. So they're not only right there, and then Francis Collins is a Christian on top of that. He's a scientist, but he's a Christian. He's a believer. So not only right there, you've proved that Adam and Eve never existed. So if Adam and Eve never existed, then original sin never happened. If original sin never happened, then Jesus coming to save you from original sin never happened either. Okay?
Yeah.
At best case scenario, it was some deluded clown in Jerusalem somewhere who thought he was the son, he was something special, and was trying to save you from a myth that was already prevalent and existing at the time. That is it. That is Christianity right there in the bubble. Anything else is just complete bullshit.
Jesus was
I mean,
just a magician.
like you were talking about the holes, real quick. It's like the one of them is that God didn't make the sun until the 4th day.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, so that's batshit. The other thing is though, but right afterwards,
Oh, you have 4 days of there's no sun, right? That's the thing.
like
You made the plans before the sun too, I think.
exactly right, he did. Yes.
There's so many holes in that story.
Makes no sense. But then after, like, speaking to like what you're talking about, because I believe he was a day Earth creationist, or that theory or whatever, where it said basically says we don't know how long a day was.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I've heard
and that whole
one.
thing. And honestly, because the Bible makes so little sense, that actually to me added up more than the literalists. Because if you look at the Cain and Abel story, after Cain kills Abel, he's banished. And he was like, "Hold on, I can't be banished. I'll be killed." Because I'll be killed because there's a bunch of people out there.
That's right.
Like how? What people?
And
what people?
And he goes off and marries a woman in another village.
Yeah.
How is this even possible?
Like, where did these villages come from? I thought these were the first 3 fucking people, dude.
These were all the questions I had as a child, and I never got
Yeah.
a reasonable answer, and so I just kind of gave up.
But to
Right,
answer,
me too.
To
Me
answer
too.
your question, Brent, when they say, because a lot of Christians will say, oh, what does a day mean? A day for God could be 10,000 years. But I can't, don't quote me on this, but we'll ask David Fitzgerald next time we have him on. I believe in the original Aramaic and even in the original Greek, when they mean day, they mean a 24-hour period. They don't mean an era. They actually mean a day.
Wow.
So
That's definitely how my church tried to pass it off.
of course.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, we were literalists in our
Yeah.
family.
I was a non-denominational,
It's always been the story
Me too.
of Christianity. It starts out as, yes, it's exactly literal,
Yeah.
until science comes in and proves they can't possibly be literal, then all of a sudden it's a metaphor. And it's always been like that. And if you ask any Christian, show me where it's a metaphor and where it's literal, they can't. They can't. It just goes for the time, right?
Yeah.
It just goes for the
And
time.
it might have been literal one day, but then all of a sudden it becomes a metaphor the next day.
What's a metaphor today?
No consistency.
What's a metaphor today was absolutely literal a few hundred years ago.
Absolutely.
Right. They'll say that, oh, no, there is literal things in there and there are metaphors. But when you ask, like, what are the metrics in order to be able to determine which is which, that the whole thing falls apart. All they can do is, you got to look at the context. And it's like, yeah, but it doesn't matter because you're saying, like, donkeys talked and that's not metaphorical. But, this other thing is literal, or you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So it's like it doesn't. It just doesn't make sense the way that they try to break it down.
No, it doesn't. It's God, we could go on this forever.
Don't get me started. I'm far too tired.
Okay, so I'm going to do something else instead. Let's try. Let's do this. I know things that make you go, just to change the subject a bit. Guys, if I ask you, you want a useless product, what would you recommend?
A useless product?
Yeah, a completely useless product. You want to show your manhood. You want a completely useless product because you're insecure. What would you remember? Like truck nuts. Remember that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah, that's pretty useless.
Well,
yeah.
you know what they have now? They have testicles like that for your gun. They're called gun nuts.
Oh god.
Gun nut.
Gun nuts.
Oh man.
Well,
Yeah.
That's generally the term I use to describe people that have things like that. So I get it.
This is for the amosexual that you love in
man.
your group.
I have a couple of those in my life.
They actually have what they call gun nuts. It's just like truck nuts back then, but it's actually for your rifle.
Oh,
Yeah, these are actually a rail-mounted set of testes for your Picatinny or Weaver rail-equipped rifle.
Oh my god.
So imagine you're holding your rifle.
And where do they dangle?
Well, according to the picture I've got here, you're holding your rifle.
Oh my god, I'm looking at it right now. Holy what the
So you get, so when you're holding your rifle in front of your hand, you'll have your magazine, and in front of that, you'll have a set of nuts. There we go.
I'm totally googling.
And they only go for $20, so it's
Oh my god.
it's pretty dirt cheap. So for the amosexual in your life, go ahead and buy a set of rifle nuts, gun nuts.
if you tickle them just right, it'll fire more accurately.
Might shoot in all direction, but Then your gun might go limp after.
Just like the real thing.
So your guns might start moaning instead.
My question is, how in the world did you find this? Why were you looking for gun nuts?
I wasn't looking for gun nuts. I don't know how I stumbled upon it.
I happened to put on ball sack and gun into Google. I wasn't looking at porn. You're looking at porn.
What are
No,
you watching?
you are.
Yeah, it's my porn history. It's my porn search history.
Remind me never to look at your phone.
I was like, Etsy? What is... Oh, no, that's not a porn site.
Oh, my God. That's so
You're on Etsy, too.
Oh, God. So, I don't know. Maybe you have to shave him once in a while. Or...
No, these are plastic nuts.
But the funny thing is there's also a little chain link, so they can kind of dangle left and right, and they can kind of swing around.
Really? Not the ones I'm looking at.
Well, you can't see from that angle, but if you look from a different angle...
What's so funny is that, this is... And the point of this, and make no mistake, the point of this is for them to be... to signify how masculine...
Yeah, of course it is.
Right? For having guns. And so tickling nuts while you're shooting a gun is supposed to be extra masculine. Keep in mind, they think gay people are super not masculine. They're not allowed to be masculine. Now, none of that's true, but I'm just saying, from their perspective, it still doesn't make sense.
Oh my God! Yes, I know. The funny thing is, as soon as you see, I remember as soon as you saw the truck nuts and all that, you can't help but think. As soon as you see that, it's like, oh, douchebag, right there, right. As soon as you see one of those, and of course now you see that on guns, it's like extra douchebag now. Yes. It's like,
yeah,
oh yeah, I can't even talk to you. I can't even take you seriously when you have something like that. Can you imagine a guy on the battlefield and that's what he's got in his rifle, and he's walking around and the ball sack is swinging left and right and left and right.
You realize the photo I'm looking at, one of these are blue balls.
It needs to be emptied quick. Go find a target.
I remember one of my friends was like a gun nut and stuff, and he'd always like give me a hard time for being a liberal and everything, and I'd always give him a hard time.
$20.
And I remember him saying, "Yeah, this is my second dick right here. I got
God.
2." And I was like, "Well,
at least that one's
3
big.
if you include yourself." So
at least that one's big.
Sorry, I deal with jerky men all the time. You gotta have the comebacks ready.
that's right.
I don't know. Maybe his rifle was of a small caliber.
It's still bigger.
Oh my! So $20, Brent. $20. Give him a gift, and you'll be talking about this for a long time. Although he might look at you kind of strangely. This guy just gave me a ball sack for my gun.
I'm totally buying a 3D
you're
printer.
So right. Oh no, he would love this though. That he wouldn't even get it. He'd just be like, "Thanks, bro. Wow." I really wanted this. I saw it. I was on Etsy. Just I wasn't putting in porn, and I saw it, and I really wanted it, but it's kind of expensive for a ball sack, and how are you supposed to explain it to this? And the whole thing.
Oh boy, okay.
That's actually quite a good idea. I think I actually will probably.
So, after this funny thing, let's put this on pause, and when we come back, we'll come back with another rapid shooter, Robert Stanley. Off the
Well done.
podcast. So, stay with us. Okay, that was too good.
Do I have time to run upstairs?
Yeah, you still got 8 minutes.
That's what I thought.
Oh my
I
God.
included that because I was just looking at that just before we got on. I was like,
The dangling blue balls. Oh God.
yes. So I had all sorts of jokes just on my own. That was great.
I have to go run to the bathroom.
Me too, actually. I'll be right back.
Oh,
Heavens, I'm
God.
gonna be all alone.
Yeah, I'm gonna be all alone again by myself.
Talking to the void.
Talking to
Okay.
myself. That's
The void is there for you. That's what it's there for. And
So hold on a sec. You're telling me you have an American politics version
Patriot
of
Party,
of Monopoly,
Oh God.
And you've been playing that with
Yeah,
your
yeah.
wife. I never thought Monopoly was bad enough as it was. And now you have
I know,
That's a
right?
good way to head to divorce.
A lot of paying each other money. You know, I feel like it's the subliminal thing. I don't know.
So are you like playing as the elephant, or are you playing as a donkey?
I actually was the eagle. I was the Patriot Party, so I could make Trump jokes basically the whole game.
What you could do though is every time you land on one of her hotels, you can say, "I'm not going to pay you now. I'm going to pay the bank instead, and it's just going to trickle down."
Trickle down economics, baby.
That's
Trickle
right.
down
That's
economics. I brought down the gross gummies. I got to try and get rid of them.
Sabrina's been making hemp gummies lately. Marijuana gummies.
Can of gummies.
Can of gummies. She's been trying that.
I got a really good deal on some shake. I paid hardly anything for it, so it's an easy way to
Nice.
cheaply.
And she knows full well that I'm not going to take them, so...
Yeah, right?
Dude, the shit we got this last time was, I almost feel like it's too strong. Like, I get
no such
all,
thing as
like,
too
remembering
strong,
things that I did when I was 15, and like, man, that was stupid.
Were you just smoking?
You're so stupid.
Smoking or eating?
Smoking.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Oh, you eat shank?
No, I use it to make my canna oil.
Oh.
And then I use the
gotcha.
canna oil to make the gummies.
Oh,
And so
you make
take-
your own fucking gummies?
Yeah, it's so easy, dude. You have no idea. Like, I've made, seriously, no joke, probably 200 of them in the last 2 days.
Holy shit.
It's so easy. Time consuming to make the canna oil. That took me almost a
Right.
whole day. But, yeah. The gummies
All right.
themselves take
I'm
like
trying to
20
come-
minutes.
Awesome.
We're calling Robert at the same time here.
Okay.
That's really.
I'm gonna eat.
You're gonna have to send me the recipe for that.
It's super easy.
Exactly.
I'll send you a link.
Answer your call, Robert.
It's okay. We haven't started.
Hey,
He is there. He is there. He's the miracle man. He is back. Robert Stanley.
Right on time.
are we recording yet?
Well, we're always recording.
sir.
Oh, okay.
But no, we're
Because
not
I have
recording to show us per se now.
major Audacity issues right now, so
Audacity. Uh-oh.
What's wrong? What's going on?
I tried to save something, and then like my son was editing it, and I give him $5 when he edits my podcast once a week. For
You don't even edit your podcast anymore? Your son does it?
He does the easy stuff,
Oh, okay.
Okay.
but the time-consuming stuff. But now it's just jacking up, so hopefully it doesn't cause any problems. Gregoria wanted to come in and say hi real quick, but she was not wanting to be on the podcast. That's why I was asking.
Well, that's okay.
Oh,
It's-
yeah,
it's
so
not
we're
recording
not-
the show. It's just going to be in the.
I'm going to text her real quick and say,
Just the
"Come in."
patrons, right?
She had, she
Yes,
has a
yes. It's recorded for the patrons. That's
that's cool. Okay, she has a friend over right now,
all. Oh,
so she
okay.
can only pop in. But she loves you guys.
Oh,
I'm so
she's
happy
so
you're
sweet.
back.
She's so sweet.
So, and Brent.
Yeah.
And who's this new lady?
Well, that
Hi.
would be Sabrina.
I don't know this person.
No, you don't. You should be
No.
awfully suspicious
I
of her.
kidnapped Kevin about a year ago.
All right, I just texted her. Come in. She's in the garage, smoking the J with her friend.
Oh, I'm eating gummies.
Nice. I
Gregoria
can't
and Sabrina would get along
I
just
can't
fine.
do that. That's not. I'm not allowed.
Here she comes.
Here she
I
comes.
lost count. How many have I
Coughing.
eaten?
Oh.
Fudge.
So it'll just be on the patron one that they're already recording, but it won't be on the normal one. But anyway, go ahead.
Hey guys, how
Hello,
you doing?
darling. It's such a pleasure to hear from you again.
I can't hear them.
You can't hear
Oh,
us.
hold on. I have to give her my headphones. 1 second.
Yeah, that kind of matters. That sort of thing.
He's such a professional. He's such a professional.
How's everybody doing?
I'm doing great,
Good.
dear.
How you
How about
doing?
yourself?
Oh, doing well. I'm spending a very nice Sunday with some friends, chilling, smoking out in the garage,
So
having a good time.
So you guys have power now in Texas?
We do. Oh my gosh, it
Wow.
was really crazy for a bit. Yeah.
I know, right?
I am so happy that you've got the whole gang. This is so awesome. Like,
Actually,
when
I don't
all
have the
of you
whole-
were coming back, I was like, this is what I'm talking about.
She really was.
I was so excited.
But I don't have the whole gang. I'm actually the only one of the old gang that's left.
That's right.
It's a new.
It's a new gang.
It's a new old game.
That's right.
New old gang. That's it.
New old gang. But there's still the same kind of wackiness, so don't worry about it.
Nice. I love it. Well, I just wanted to say hi, guys, and I love the show, and I can't wait to hear this episode.
You know,
All right?
I still want you on the show one day. You know that, right?
One of these days,
Yes,
sir.
you're
We're gonna get all the dirt. We need the dirt.
way back. You promised that you would come, and you haven't had your promise yet. So wait, I'm going to hold you to it.
All right.
Okay.
I'll talk to y'all later. Y'all have a great day.
You too, dear.
Take it easy.
Oh my gosh, she's so loud.
She's such a.
I
She's
think
such
she
a
has to
sweet-
like really project if she's on radio. She doesn't know that like it's just you could just talk like normal. But anyway, she's cute. I like her.
Nikki does that, so I get it.
I think I'll.
Y'all of a sudden starts
Nikki-
talking like
Nikki-
this. No, that's right. No,
I love talking to Americans. It's the y'all. The y'all gets me. Y'all talking like. I just love that.
I start saying y'all all the time, and it's like, where did that come from? I'm from Canada. I've lost the A.
So, who all's here? Just so I don't make a snafu like I've done before on LATV.
Well, that's part of the show. Doing snafu.
That's the best part. You want a
gotta
snafu?
have that.
It's only myself, Sabrina, and Brent.
All right, Sabrina. Have you done like other podcast stuff? 'Cause
Nope.
I'm not familiar with you. I know the other guys, but
Nope.
No,
you're Canadian also.
I'm a podcast virgin.
It's her debut.
she's the mystery guest.
Mystery guest that you just can't
the
get
mystery
rid of.
co-host.
That was the first one. That's the only one I've heard yet. I'm looking forward to the Ben Davis one because you like Kevin and Ben fit together really well. So I'm curious to see how the other two do. But in that first one, I really enjoyed hearing you.
Well, I'm glad you did.
Talking to Sabrina.
Your show's
Yeah,
been
of
doing.
course.
Your show's
I
been
didn't
doing
enjoy
great.
the other people.
My mouth is a little full.
No, I get it. We get it. We know. I get it. I know.
Brent was awful.
I know.
Oh my god.
All right. So let's get this show on the road. So I guess we'll, since you've done philosophy so much, Robert, we'll let you take us through that. We'll try to ask him as many philosophy-related questions as we can, because frankly,
I'll try not to be drunk this time. Last time you had me on to do the philosophy one, I played it back and I felt so embarrassed because it was like I was knocking them back while we're talking. So by the end of it, I was like 4 drinks in by the end because I brought like the whiskey and the Coke with me, and I'm pouring. And like by the end, you're like, "All right, well, thanks for being on the show." And I'm like, "No, I haven't told you about Immanuel Kant yet," and I just kept forcing my voice over yours. I'm like, this isn't so embarrassing. Did you pick up on that?
I did. When I listened to it, and I figured I was like, "Oh, he's drinking, man. He's drinking."
Well,
turn out to look like me.
I just thought that was just
haven't
normal.
taken it.
I just thought that was just normal Robert. So that's just how it usually is, you know.
That doesn't mean I wasn't drunk, but it was normal.
That's why you got.
Yeah.
That's why I always ask to keep my interviews short because
Right?
by the hour mark, it's gonna
Oh,
hit it, swing or miss.
I'm not sure we ever had a sober Robert anyway on the show. So
Yeah.
Well, it'll be first, maybe. But
Listen to my No Illusions one, dude. I was fucking wasted, dude. I was fucking wasted. I think Noah's just like, okay. I don't even know what to.
I love you. At some point, where you're like, I just love you. So
Dude. Man. You're just awesome, you know?
I fit right in.
that's not his name, right? That's not his name, is it?
No, it's a
No.
fake name. I don't even think his first name's Noah. I don't.
no, it's not his real name.
at all.
What's his real name?
He said it a long time ago on one of the shows. He actually admitted that's not his real name. He actually said his real name, but I can't recall for the life of me. And we're talking like a long time ago. I think even before Eli was on.
I
So
bet
I
it's
think What?
I bet his name is Lance or something really cheesy.
I was gonna say Tyler. You think
Tyler
I say
or
Tyler?
Brent.
I don't know why.
Brent.
It's Cliff. It's Cliff. His name is Cliff.
It's Cliff.
Cliff.
Well, actually,
Clifford. All right. Oh, okay. You guys ready to go?
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, but that was really for Robert, really. But...
Robbie, where you at? You ready?
With you. I'm ready to rock.
Okay, sounds good. Recording in 3, 2. All right, our next guest is a friend of the show. He is the host of the Right to Reason podcast. He's a snappy dresser and a snazzy dancer. Robert Stanley, welcome back to Left of the Valley 2.0.
Happy to be here. Happy to be here.
Okay, perfect. We'll give you that $50 as we promised you.
Didn't you used to have, like an applause sound effect when you bring me in?
Yes, but I put that in post. Thank you, Robert, for just ruining the show here all of a sudden.
Ruin the fucking illusion, dude. Thanks. Great. Now they all know we're not in front of a live audience.
They're like, wait a minute, this isn't live?
They also know the show's not scripted now, too.
Very true.
Do you still do the bell? And,
Yep.
Of course. Nothing's changed in that sense, right?
Do the bell.
I still do
Didn't
the
I get
bell.
one of those earlier today?
Yeah, that's right.
Anytime someone says something racist, Kevin would ring the bell.
Hey, no.
Okay, hold on. What the fuck was my bell for that earlier? I thought it was
You didn't know the original LATV was really racist.
Oh, it totally was.
Well, I've only listened to like one episode. So.
Oh, God.
It was real low key. Like Kevin would say things like, we want a secular world free of darkness. And you're like, think about it for a second. Like, wait a minute. What did he mean by that?
double entendre.
We like to move everybody towards the light. The lighter skin. I mean, light.
That's just so not you.
Like Star Wars, low-key racist. Just saying.
Really?
Okay.
Really? How
Dark
so?
side,
Well,
dark
I
side,
guess.
you give me?
No,
Okay.
that's...
Well, we always say welcome to the dark side. We have cookies.
I was just going to say.
I think Dr. Seuss was a little.
Oh,
Because
yes.
foods and Jews sound way too similar.
That's a bit far-fetched. But, we just did have that,
That's solid.
that thing we
I
talked
feel like
about.
that's solid right there.
Yeah.
The Hooji?
Solid epistemology.
And think about it. The episode about, the book about Christmas, right? It was anti-Who's, right? Was the actual, he was Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
But they didn't murder him. They had to hang him on the Christmas tree.
Okay. The comments of Robert and Brent and Sabrina at this point too are not necessarily those of Left of the Valley.
Hey, now.
Don't get me and Robert in the same room. You're going to have to say that a lot.
There's going to be some Holocaust topics brought up.
Robert, thank you so much for joining us on the show. That was great.
Great intro.
Great intro. Oh my God, I've missed you. I've missed you, brother. I've missed you. So maybe you'll be so kind to, for those people that might not know you, the 3 or 4 of them that know listen to your show by now, to maybe explain who you are.
So who I am is just some dude in Texas with a family who just works for a pharmaceutical company. I'm a quality engineer, and I just finished my political science bachelor's. And
Congratulations.
I'm working for my justice master's, and I plan to keep going after that. I want to teach one day. I want to be in politics. I want to do something to make a difference. But what I do on the side, and I really just enjoy it as a hobby, is the Right to Reason podcast that you can find at therighttoreason.com.
Mm-hmm. So the Right to Reason is, for people that don't know, is a highly, highly recommended podcast. Actually, you cracked like one of the top 10 atheist shows in the U.S., didn't you? Or something like
that. Yeah, according to one magazine.
Hey, that's that's more than us.
But yeah, I was really humbled by that. That was really cool.
Mm-hmm. So today we're talking about philosophy, and you've studied philosophy like for real. So yeah. I thought maybe you'd be able to take us through what is philosophy. Why would you want to study philosophy to begin with?
Yeah, you never liked it, did you, Kev?
Oh, you know what? I wouldn't say I don't like it. I have a hard time understanding it because I'm an idiot.
Because you're a nerd. You're a science nerd. You don't appreciate the humanities, my friend.
Mm-hmm.
But you wouldn't. I mean, think about this. You wouldn't have science without philosophy, right? Like the whole Enlightenment movement kind of came out of philosophy, right? The whole science movement came out of philosophy. So it's kind of like.
It came out of philosophy, but can we say that science never would have occurred without philosophy? Is that something that you really
certainly couldn't have?
Really?
It certainly. Yeah, I think
because you have it's thinking about thinking, right? So you got to think about your thinking in order to think about how we figure out what the way the world works.
Well,
so.
It's obvious I'm going to be devil's advocate on this side of the show here, obviously, because I don't know about you, but it seems to me that science was always a question of just answering a question you had. And you don't seem to really need philosophy for that. So why study philosophy?
So you wouldn't have the laws of logic without philosophy.
Okay.
And you wouldn't have science without the laws of logic. You wouldn't even be able to interpret art without philosophy, because philosophy studied aesthetics. But before philosophy, people were just drawing things on cave walls, right? Mm-hmm. But I mean, as soon as philosophy enters the human spectrum, you see beautiful things like the architecture of Greece or Rome. So I would say that we didn't even understand beauty, much less science, before we started to have a love for, like Brent said, thinking itself.
Really? See, I like I said, forgive me, Robert. I have nothing but respect for you and your study of philosophy, but I have a hard time understanding that. I mean, seems to me that when you're painting, let's go back to ancient times, and you're painting on cave walls and all that. You're telling a story. You're not just you're telling a story about the buffalo you were hunting. I don't see where the philosophy comes in on this point.
But we weren't able to understand an objective representation of beauty before philosophy approached aesthetics itself and said, well, why do we find things beautiful? What is the purpose? And yes, today we can explain that through evolutionary psychology, but we would have never even got to this point of saying, well, of course we like certain sounds because those are the sounds we evolved with, listening to birds chirping or what have you, or the beauty of a sunset over an ocean horizon. We know that those are things we like, but we don't know why until psychology came around. And we wouldn't have psychology without philosophy.
Okay. So I don't know. I have to ask you to elaborate on that.
Maybe we could just say that was first, right? Post hoc ergo proctor hoc kind of thing, where you would say, if you wouldn't say we needed philosophy, you could at least say philosophy preceded psychology, physics, all these different branches of science, whether soft or hard.
On that, I think we absolutely agree.
Yeah, so I mean,
it'd be difficult to say what caused what and why, you know what I mean, and how that transpired from one thing to the next.
I mean, we hear Christians make the argument, well, you needed Christianity to have education because Christianity was the catalyst of educating the public. But you don't necessarily have causal links there. You have correlated links, where I think with philosophy, it's definitely causal, because you can look at the scientific method itself and say, oh, okay, this follows certain rules of logic that philosophy presented the world. If the philosophy hadn't presented the world these rules of logic, we wouldn't have the scientific method. It was inevitable to occur. We were going to figure it out eventually, but we had to go through the filter of philosophy to do it. And to anyone that would say, okay, but we did it, it's done, move on. Well, we haven't answered all the shit yet. There's still lots more shit. And philosophy's not really addressing quantum physics now, right? It's not telling you whether or not you have cancer. We have solutions for that have been much better than just thinking about thinking that would help with that. But we do have other questions, big ones, really big ones. Do we have free will? What is consciousness? What is the explanation of love or music, or where we're going to end up one day? The future of mankind. These are all things that we still need philosophy to at least give us some understanding of. Maybe not give us the answers indicatively, but at least show us the way to get them.
Robert, Sorry.
No, go for it,
correct me if I'm wrong, real quick. Now, I feel like a lot of why philosophy is so helpful to science and things like that was that our heads were all stuck in these gods notions and stuff, right? Mm-hmm. And so logic was sort of a way to question your own mind and question your own thinking and go, how can I figure out what I think is true is actually true? And so I think a lot of it was almost having to pull ourselves back from the religion thing in order to get us to be able to recognize the real world the way it is and not have somebody going, yeah, but that's because of magic. So,
it definitely helped us with our skepticism. But I think that's where it evolved to with postmodernism. I don't think that's really where it started. And a lot of Christians you ask today will kind of lean toward that Aristotelian virtue ethics, right? Because they say we can't be good in ourselves. So you have to look to, this is what Aristotle would say, you have to look to someone that's good and then mimic them. And Christians are like, oh, that's so perfect. I get hard wood for it because they're like, you can look to Jesus. He's perfect. The problem that Kant pointed out many years later is that if you're not ethical yourself, then how could you judge someone that is ethical? It's the same way, you look at somebody like a Trump supporter, they're like, oh, he's so awesome. You're like, Trump's a fucking douchebag. How are you saying this? And because they're flawed themselves, so they're subject to populism, and that's the what Kant presented about Aristotle's philosophy is that you can't virtue ethics is okay for your infancy in philosophy, which is where a lot of Christians are today. You could add Muslims, Jews to the same thing, the Abrahamic religions for sure, but. Even if they don't look to Christ, they might look to Abraham, they might look to Muhammad, what have you. But if you don't know what good is, so therefore you should represent someone that is good, you wouldn't be able to identify whether they're good. And that was his major flaw, and that's Christianity's major flaw as well.
I understand what you're saying here. I'm just not exactly sure. In my home,
you understand the words, right? I know all those words.
Do you know them all put together, though?
I can mute your microphone,
Yes, you can.
I'm sorry.
The problem I have here is, although I agree with probably 90% of what you said there, the problem I'm bumping in here is the causation here. The philosophy caused our understanding of logic. I think it was probably an attempt at explaining it. If you observe somebody doing action A and getting reward B, then it goes per se that if you do the same action A, you'll get the same reward B. But I don't think philosophy developed that. I think it was just naturally a consequence of observation. So this is. So you understand what I'm saying?
I'm sorry, I cut you off.
No,
so did Brent, by the way. Brent's taken over this podcast. You really need to rein him in.
I'm putting myself on mute.
Actually, I think you two, as a side thing, you two, and of course Sabrina as well, but you two are so, when you brought Brent on, I was like, this is perfect. He actually messaged me and said, I'm going to be on the left of the valley, and he was so happy, and I was just like, your humor and Kevin's humor are going to match up so well, and it really does. But anyway, regardless of that, okay, how can you do science without, 1, the law of contradiction, 2, the law of excluded middle, and 3, the principle of identity? I would say the first one would be non-contradiction.
But this is what I'm saying. The philosophy didn't create the law of contradiction. It was already there. It just kind of explained it.
Identified it. It certainly identified it.
Yes, that's what I mean. It didn't create it, right?
Thanks to Aristotle. But yeah, it's basically just you can't be you and not you, right? Mm-hmm. And that to me alone is science. You couldn't have science without that.
Okay, I can understand that, and it's a bit like we say, religion was our first attempt at trying to explain the world, and maybe philosophy was our second attempt at trying to explain the world and the laws of physics around us, and I can totally understand that, and I totally go with that.
Yeah, so it's that simple, and then in the area of ethics, we wouldn't be able to make the arguments about how to use science today, right? I mean, Hume argued you can't get ought out of an is, but we do get oughts out of is because philosophy preceded science. So you can say science can tell you that battery acid's bad for you and that orange juice is good for you. But since philosophy preceded it, we were able to say you shouldn't give someone battery acid as opposed to orange juice. So we would have never understood how to utilize the benefits of science without preceding an is with an ought.
Okay. So essentially, it just helped us expand empathy in our understanding of the laws of physics.
Well, maybe not empathy, but at least how to translate your empathy properly. So you could say, I feel really bad about lying. And Kant, who we were just talking about, argued against Aristotle's virtue ethics. He promoted, what was it? I can't remember. What did Kant do? He did deontology, right? So his whole thing was, you should always do the right thing no matter what, right? And you would say, well, that makes sense. Then I'll just never lie. And then you do what Locke came around and said, hey, what about when lying might be good? Mill really touched on this as well.
Yeah.
Where he's, if you have, he didn't use this analogy, but it's appropriate today. Speaking of Jews and who's, but the
old Nazi example of you hiding Jews in your basement, right. You lie.
And they say, do you have Jews in the attics? Obviously, lying would be the right thing to do in that situation. So that kind of gives us a little bit of an insight into what's it called? What was Mill's thing?
I don't know. I'm not. I've never been to school. Oh, okay.
Consequential?
Yeah. You do something because it's the consequences are what are significant to it. Not necessarily the act itself is good or bad, but the act itself is defined by the results of the act.
But the results of the act are always in the light of us as a species, right? I mean, I think if human species wasn't a social species, we would have a very different philosophy as it is.
Yeah. I mean, but that doesn't determine what's good or bad or true or false. That just determines how we interpret it, I think. So yeah, we evolved to feel like altruism is a good thing. That doesn't necessarily mean that it is, but we certainly can use altruism to find out that helping others tends to be more favorable consequentially, right?
Because we're a social species. If we were, like, so for example, we're a hybrid species of man tigers, which are they're a solitary creature. Therefore, altruism would just be wasting your resources and energy. It wouldn't be something that'd be viewed as good.
Right, but those are the things that we societally remove. We filter them out over time. I mean, you could argue evolutionarily rape is natural. It's completely natural to want to rape someone. That doesn't, of course, mean it's good. And we push those things out. They get filtered out through society because of ethics. But the things that do seem to be natural, I mean, you look at something that has large eyes that are wide apart and a big forehead, you feel like it's cute. That might apply to dogs, and that's why we're one of the reasons that we are so closely tied to animals like dogs, but it also applies to babies. Well, that doesn't mean that looking cute therefore led to our ethics, but it helped us get to being kind to babies and animals a little bit faster, being kind to infants of any kind of species. It helped us get there a little quicker. But if it hadn't have been successful in our evolutionary process, society would have corrected it. And the only way it could have is via ethics, and therefore via philosophy.
I understand. Okay, that makes sense to me. So when we're looking at philosophy today, and of course in the context of us being atheists, do you think that philosophy is becoming a bit of a crutch for theists? Especially when they're trying to, because they don't really have any evidence for their claims.
Oh my God! I had what was that one guy? Inspiring Philosophy is the name of his channel, and he came on, and he argued the entire episode. He argued that quantum physics is random, and consciousness is fundamental. So therefore, matter is a result of consciousness, a form of idealism and panpsychism.
Okay.
And everything is rooted in quantum physics and therefore God and Jesus. And I'm with you 100%. It's so frustrating because it's getting the philosophy is getting so just random and elusive that religious people are starting to pick it up, but they only read Christianity Today, the comments on it. They're not actually looking at the science of it.
No.
So yeah, it's
almost like they like to take refuge. They like to take refuge in semantics, and then they start calling it philosophy.
Yeah, exactly. I just had a episode. It was called Objective Morality Debate, and it was this dude named Elmo who's got his own podcast called Elmo's World.
Yes.
Really nice kid, and we talked about whether or not we have free will, because that's kind of where the conversation goes when you talk about objective morality. And every single thing he offered as a rebuttal to determinism was a fatalistic argument. So he'd say, so you don't have free will, so therefore everything was just always going to happen no matter what. I'm thinking, well, maybe it seems pretty reasonable, but I can't defend that. In the same way, like I can't prove there's no God. I can't prove that fatalism is true. But your rebuttal, you're rebuting fatalism. You're not rebuting objective morality, or you're not rebuting determinism, rather, rebutting determinism. And I got another debate coming up with Eric Hernandez on the Gospel Truth here at the end of the month on the 27th, and he's going to do the same thing. And it's like that's all they have is, like you said, semantics, but they use semantics to try to make you look bad, to try to make your argument look bad. But it's usually just conflationism, where you'll make an argument and say, well, I think A and B, and they'll say, well, B could be something else, and then they'll argue the something else, against your argument, where that was never your intention. It's just basically another form of straw manning.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes, and then they'll add probabilities into that, and all of a sudden it becomes very nebulous at best.
One of my favorite episodes was with you and Brent's favorite person, Kelly Clemenson.
Oh God!
Wait, was that you? Was that you and Kelly that did the Historicity of Christ, or was that you and somebody else? I remember you did one.
Well, we did a lot of
Kelly. I don't know if that one was Kelly. It might have been.
Fitzgerald did Kelly. That was the funniest one, because he kept getting mad and saying, "Stop interrupting me," and David Fitzgerald just kept interrupting him no matter what. No matter what he said, he would be like, "That's wrong. Nope, don't believe that, people."
Yeah, I got him on my channel, and that's like all he wants to do is interrupt and then not make sense when he's talking, but like want to not make sense even more. He
gush gallops. He totally gush gallops. But I remember Kevin came on and did a historicity one. I thought that was...
I did
that was a good
mythicist
episode.
debate with I can't remember who it was, and one of my points was basically, of course he was quoting Jesus and all that, and one of my points was, well, if Jesus is there, how come we don't have any relics whatsoever? I even went to he's a carpenter. How come we don't have a carpenter table from him or anything like that?
Or even
chisels,
or even correspondence between just people at the time.
Yeah,
there
exactly.
were no that's what historians look to a lot of times. It's just correspondence between people. Like, hey, can you pick up the stuff? Make sure that you don't. Make sure to go around the, Jesus healing everybody at that spot, or whatever, just like talking to each other.
He was completely taken aback by the artifact angle. He had never heard that, and I thought, you think your Lord and God here is a carpenter. You think anything he's touched during his carpentry days, it'd be like gold. It's worth. He'd be passing that out. So this is a table that Jesus made, for Christ's sake. Everybody would want a piece of that, right? But no, they've got absolutely nothing, right? Of course,
no evidence.
And it's even worse because you even have some other divine beings, like somebody like Hercules. We actually know Hercules' shoe size. Now, I don't have it here with me, but we actually know apparently what shoe size he had. Because there was an actual measurement of the first tracks in the Olympics were actually measured around his foot. You know, was so many times his foot. So we actually know what size of shoe or what size of foot he had, but we don't even have a basic description of what Jesus looked like. It's like there's something odd here, right? You have a fictional character.
Can you at least accept? Because I'm not really a mythicist like you, but can you at least accept that the stories are probably true, but they're probably just an amalgam of lots of people at the time?
Oh, I think that's a very good possibility. I think that's a very, very good possibility.
That's where I'm at, too. Yeah. I think because the Chosen One cult thing was just a super popular thing at the time.
Yes,
you know?
yes. And
it's still a popular thing. Darth Vader, for fuck's sake! Like there's a chosen one.
The chosen one,
still,
right?
It's going. It's just a human thing. I think. I don't know.
There is. I think it speaks loudly to our need for a hero, our need for somebody to come and save us somehow for anything, whether it's Neo in the Matrix or Jesus in Nazareth. It's
Spider-Man
or Spider-Man.
I
like Spider-Man.
He's the best.
Anyway, going back to philosophy. So. Do you think philosophy, I know it's going to be an interesting question to ask you, but do you think philosophy is becoming a bit outdated in the scientific world that we have today?
No, we're still dealing with philosophical concepts today that are impacting us. Like, you can actually make an argument against liberals themselves. With philosophy, with the tenets of the Enlightenment. You can make arguments against conservatives with the same thing. Whereas you would say, here's one that they both screw up with. Okay. Let me see here. Pluralism. Society should have multiple views. So you look at a lot of the censorship that's going on within the far left today. They're saying we should have multiple views, but only a select group. And I know Brent is about to choke me out.
No, you're good.
I know this is one of his wheelhouses. So, but the same thing with conservatives, where they don't think that we should have multiple views. They think we should have conservative views. What are the conservative views? Well, it's a very small group of European males that these views come from, and that one alone. The other remaining five tenets were rationalism. The world can be comprehended via reason. We would all agree with that as secularists. Meliorism, things can be better. That's another one conservatives don't like. They're always saying, we got to get back to the way things were. Things are getting worse, but we all know that's not true. Yeah. They're clearly getting better. Autonomous individualism, people have their own wills, their own agendas, right? That's what makes us individuals. That's one you're not going to hear represented on the left. In all fairness, we're all liberals here, but let's be honest, we really don't promote rugged individualism that much. One thing that we do, I think we should.
Why?
But the way that we present it is through individuality, and I think that's good. But individualism is important because that makes us look at personal responsibility.
Well, yeah, but we're a social species. Why would rugged individualism actually be that important?
Because if each person doesn't take accountability for their own actions, then we all fail together.
Yeah, well, okay, we're going to delve into politics here, because isn't that the exact same concept, rugged individualism, that kind of holds the country like the U.S. from getting things like universal health care?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, so is it really that much of a thing you want? I'm not so sure it is.
Well, it's good in the same way that, a little bit of sugar's not bad for you. A little bit of salt make the food better, but you dump a whole bunch of salt on it. So America has hyperbolized individualism to the degree that they're now using it against their citizenry for the sake of corporations that lobby our government. But in the same way, like, we would say democracy is good, but absolute democracy would be horrible. Absolute democracy would mean that majority rules. What happens to your minorities then? Exactly. So individualism is an important part of the Enlightenment, but taken in hyperbole, it's definitely been a destructive force in America. But that doesn't mean we should abandon it, right? There are conservative values that we should still hold to. That's what got us here, and whatever works, we should still keep using it. This is, once again, my opinion, but it's also the opinion of the Enlightenment. In fact, if you look at it, classical liberalism is conservatism, right? With some exception. They've ignored some things, like pluralism. Another one is ethical egalitarianism, equal worth. Mm-hmm. They say that that's what they think, but then, their actions certainly don't apply there.
Mm-hmm. Right. I would agree, yes. Do you think philosophy has become, or should it be, or has it become some kind of moral compass for us?
I don't think so. I can't see that. No.
I mean, you get some places like Norway, where they actually have like a state philosopher, and they actually use him or her to consult when they're about to create laws on ethics and stuff like that. So
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
That's
I kind of like that.
I think it's because it's really interesting to actually have somebody like that becomes a bit like the conscience of a particular country to say, is this going to be good for our citizens to make this law? It might make economic sense, or it might make political sense, or even scientific sense, but is it going to be something our citizens are going to be, it's going to be for the benefit of our citizens? So can philosophy become that kind of moral compass for us?
I don't know. I mean, that's kind of cool. I didn't know that. I always wanted to have two presidents. Mm-hmm. Like one that actually does the executive branch, right? But then another one that's kind of like the frontal figure, the media guy.
Kind of like Ronald McDonald.
That way we would be invulnerable to populism. Like, I feel like after Trump, we just got to see exactly what our major weakness is. And if we get somebody in the office that's not just a fucking idiot, but can use that populism to it's the same on the left, though. And, like, if we get somebody on the left that's actually for the problem of the left, I mean, let's be honest, it's a horseshoe, right? Mm-hmm. Like, you can go too far right and you can go too far left. Mm-hmm. Too far right, that's fascism. Mm-hmm. Too far left is totalitarianism. Mm-hmm. It's still both forms of authority. Mm-hmm. And in order for either side to go too far, you have to start taking away liberty and the rights of the people. So
yeah, I mean, it's almost like, have you seen like that thing? I think it was France that was like, that had secularism was basically the law, and mm-hmm. so they had all sorts of problems because Muslims,
right,
were being there, and they were being like, you can't wear that on your head because we're a secular nation, you know what I mean? And so it's like, dude, that's not cool either. Like, you can't go that far with that. You know what I mean? Like,
that shit. The anti-hijab stuff.
Yeah. Well, and it was like, hey, you can't represent your security. Yeah, you can't even tell anybody what your religion is in public, kind of thing. And then that becomes its own form of authoritarian, legislation.
I will play devil's advocate once more here and throw
Kevin. Do you have the devil on speed dial? What is going on? You got to advocate for him.
Always the devil's advocate.
We've talked about this briefly before, but in my home province of Quebec, they've passed a law that made a lot of people wrote a lot of things about it, saying exactly that you could not wear your hijab or your yakama or your Star of David, something like that, during work hours as a government employee. Now, and of course it's supposed to include Christianity as well, right? But of course some people are trying to grandfather exceptions. Is that taking it too far?
Yeah, I think so. Mm-hmm. It conned me initially, and this is what I think a lot of the people on the other side of the fence are doing, and they think they're doing the right thing. They think that what they're saying is their agenda, but really what they're saying is just promoting their agenda tongue-in-cheek. And I didn't see it when it was happening, but after 9/11, I was all about, hey, if these women want to wear hijabs, how are we going to see their face? But here we are, 2021, we've been through a year of Corona, everybody's wearing masks and everything's fine. I mean, it's not great. But we're not having like identity
fast
issues.
and loose
But,
with the word fun, but okay.
we're able to function as a society with masks.
Well, hold
minus
on.
states.
The point I was trying to make here was not the fact of a hiding identity or not there. The point was, as a government employee, you're representing a secular government. You can wear your yakima, your Star of David, or your hijab after work hours, but at work, you're supposed to be a secular representative of the government. And to be the contrarian here, I actually agree with that. I think they're actually on the right track on this. Although I seem to be the dissenting opinion here.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then that
You
means
could
that
be
you can't say
secular
you're
and
an
still be
atheist.
religious.
No, but
So you can't say you're an atheist. If you go
I
inside
shouldn't be able
government,
to say
you
I'm an
can't say
atheist
you're an
either.
atheist.
Because you have to remember, because there's so much friction between diverse religion. For example, if you're the person that's the clerk is absolutely Muslim, right? You could totally tell that he or she is completely Muslim, and you're a Jewish person trying to get a government service. Are you going to feel intimidated to go to that agent?
No,
You
because
shouldn't.
they're a government agent and they have to keep
This
their
is-
religion at the door. Just because they're honoring certain parts of their religion doesn't mean they're bringing their religion into their work.
But this is what I'm saying. This is why I'm saying when you go, it's a bit like when you go into a school and you're wearing the school uniform. You know, you're representing the school. You're wearing the uniform. As a government employee, I think you should be. I think it would be within the right of the employer, which is the government at this point, to enforce that as well. They're not
But
stopping
then-
you
then
from wearing.
In our government, for the example, though, the RCMP allow, as a part of the uniform,
Yes.
for Indo-Canadians to wear turbans.
Yeah, for
Which
Sikhism.
which is religious.
Yeah, but
And they allow that, and it doesn't affect their performance as an RCMP officer.
no, I understand that. But this is the decision that what the province of Quebec made,
Yeah,
and it's.
I know.
I don't see it as a negative position.
Because it
I do, yeah.
strategically works for your agenda, but
Yeah.
not because you actually
Right.
support it. You're saying,
no.
like, yeah, I would give up my right to be a public atheist, even if I was in a political position, because this is such an attack against religion. But it's not that you actually don't want to. It's not that you would feel that admitting that you're an atheist as a political figure is wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not actually making an ethical argument. You're just making a strategic argument.
Because what would happen is, because you got to remember that these religions that these people have, these beliefs that they have, they don't stop when you go to work. So that you would be then that means that people would not be getting those positions on purpose because they're religious, which would give atheists and things like that an unfair advantage.
But
Which we would be in favor of.
We
So
would,
it's-
but I'm not
as a
because
strategy.
yeah, exactly.
For a bit of context here, in I think it was 1982 or 1987, the Supreme Court of Canada ruled, although there is in the Constitution, the Canadian Constitution, there is an appeal to divinity. There's an appeal to the Christian God. The Supreme Court ruled that Canada would rule as a secular country. In their decision, in their court decision,
But we still have freedom of religion.
you still have freedom of religion. I understand. So this is why I'm saying this is the best of both worlds. When you're as a government employee during the work hours, you're representing the government. You look secular. After that, put on your hijab. Put on your.
Secular? That's the part that I have a problem.
But you're representing the government. Right? It's the same argument that we have all the time with somebody who says,
But you're violating my personal basic human right in the process of remaining secular.
no, because because you look secular, they're not taking a religion away from you. You can still believe it.
Doesn't matter.
Even in the world that we're in, everybody would know that you are whatever religion you are anyway.
Yeah.
Even though you
It
don't
doesn't matter.
have the cross around your
Yeah.
neck, that Muslim still knows who you are as a representative, walks in there and sits down in front of you. They'd still have the exact same amount of intimidation. It's just that you can't wear the symbol there. So it's really superfluous.
I'm changing my view. I'm with Kevin. I flipped me. But no, I don't.
I see your point,
Poor
but
Kevin, we're
I
all
don't
ganging
agree.
up on him.
Oh, that's fine. I'm used to it.
It's your fault, Robert.
I don't think he is actually saying it because he believes what he's saying, and not calling you intellectually dishonest. I'm just saying I think you feel more comfortable with it because the ends would justify the means, but I don't think that you actually believe that we shouldn't be able to be ourselves, which would incorporate our culture and our faith, even though we're politicians. I don't think you actually believe it. I just think you like the idea of getting religion out of politics, and I'm with you there. Fuck them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Me too.
Well,
Me too.
maybe
But it's
so,
just not
but
practical.
if we use the example of, I don't want to pick on Muslims here, but let's take a Muslim example again.
Oh, please pick on Muslims.
we take, for example, a Muslim cashier at a store, right? And he doesn't want to handle pork, right? And the first reaction is, well, then don't work at that place. If your religion is that important that you can't handle that responsibility because it's part of the job, just don't work there. And I guess this goes back to what you were saying about rugged individualism. You know, take some responsibility with it. And wouldn't that a government position be the same? If your religion is so precious to you that you cannot function without your yakama or your cross of David or whatever halo you need to wear, you really need to be there.
Right. Your religion is limiting you from participating with the rest of society.
Yes.
That's not my fault. That's not Kevin's fault. That's your fault.
Nor should it be. I mean, at which point do we?
Politics are a position of power, though.
At which point do we start accommodating people on just about every? I mean, I could be a Jedi for Christ's sake, and I can wear my lightsaber. You know, if I'm going to take you to the ridiculous there, you know, I'm going to be a government employee, but I need my lightsaber with me. You know, I mean, how ridiculous does this get?
Don't take it on a first date. But, you know, it's a joke. That's fair, right? Because in that situation, it is contrary to your goal. So maybe Kevin has a point. That,
to a degree,
coming up with some kind of antiquated religious belief that's going to biases your way of going forward politically. Maybe you shouldn't be allowed to dress that way, and then you're victim to it also, because anything you say, you're saying it as a person dressed in a hijab or as a person with a cross around my neck. He might have a point. I went into this disagreeing with him.
Okay,
but all jokes aside, I'm kind of leaning his way.
I think we got to separate a couple things, because when it comes to like police and stuff like that, and people of like authority, if you're talking that level of government, I get it, okay? Because that can not only be used against people, it can also be used against them, right?
But that's actually what we were specifically
they're
just
wearing
talking
their.
about.
Oh, you were talking about police?
RCMP here. That's our federal police.
I don't know what
right?
CMP is.
I know.
Like,
Our Royal Canadian Mounted Police. And here
We don't use acronyms in the
I
States.
know,
Yeah,
right?
No.
Except USA.
FBI, CIA.
So
don't count.
for you, just because I know you don't know, Brent, here the RCMP are our federal police. They're actually allowed to go down to the States and arrest people. They're, I think, one of the only police forces that are allowed to go to other countries and arrest people.
Well, you know, Mounties, they always get their man.
Oh, okay.
Anyways,
Well, then
so here they're allowed to, the Indo-Canadians wear their turbans, and I hear what you're saying, that they shouldn't be allowed to, but then the reason they're wearing turbans is that they don't cut their hair. So then what? What do they do with their hair? Like, these are men who have hair down to their feet. Literally.
It's so complicated, because here's the thing, like that those rules would make it so certain people of certain religions couldn't partake in that job, which makes the institution by definition anti that specific religion, and therefore, you see what I'm saying? Like, it just it gets really difficult.
Yeah.
Okay. No, and I agree. They're good points.
I'm off Kevin's team. You guys are right. I'm back with the fold. I'm back with the flock. I feel good about that. I feel good. When I was on Kevin's team, I felt a little icky.
Oh, come on.
I'm happy to be back. Oh. Jeez. He was coming off a little racist.
A little bit. Come on.
Yeah.
Always picking on the Muslims.
Well, this show turned into a debate show where we're supposed to talk about philosophy, but I guess
that philosophical.
I guess it proves the point. It proves the point, right? It proves the point that why philosophy is important.
Yeah.
You know how, like, in Twilight, like, each vampire had, like, a superpower? That's Robert's superpower.
He's a philosophy
like
vampire?
Jasper. He gets us all debating.
He's a philosophy vampire. Robert's a philosopher.
Only you saw that. I appreciate it, but only. I have no idea what you mean.
X-Men. Give me fucking X-Men. You know X-Men. Okay.
Now I'm just trying to imagine. Robert going off. What to suck your soul?
I was just
They
thinking
don't
the
talk
one,
like that in Twilight.
the one vampire Jasper like has a power to calm everybody down, and Roberts is the opposite. That's all I'm saying.
You know way too much about Twilight. You know way too much about Twilight, there, Brent.
Whatever. The first couple books were good.
I admit I read all 3 in like 2 days.
Oh God, I don't want to live on this planet anymore.
But I have never read 50 Shades of Grey. Nor seen the movies.
So, Robert, going back on philosophy,
Please.
what do you think the future is for philosophy? Do you think there's going to come a time where basically we're going to say,
No!
no?
No! It'll always be around. There's always questions we're not going to be able to answer. And even after the automatons replace us, they'll still look back at human philosophy as their guide. We'll become the religion of future robots, in my opinion.
I like that. I would be okay with that.
But all joking aside, I can't see it going away. It's fundamental to humanity. It's part of our core. It's basically based on 5 perspectives. At least this is all up till modernism. After this, you go postmodern, right? But basically, egoism, utilitarianism, deontology, virtue ethics, and perfectionism. So we covered virtue ethics. That was Aristotle, Plato, Mendes might be added to that. Deontology was Kant, Rawls. You like Rawls. The categorical imperative, right? That you have to do the right thing. Utilitarianism was the one I was referencing with Mill. What is the utility of what you're doing? Perfectionism is more about species advancement. I think that would be where Kevin might lean to, as being a big fan of science. Nietzsche and Marx push that stuff. Egoism would be a little bit more where maybe I fall in. I like Mill. I like utilitarianism, but I kind of fall with egoism, where it's more about self-development. That's going to be your Nietzsche, your Machiavelli. After that, it got into postmodernism and everything got crazy. And that's what Brent talks about. But he always represents it like it's like this, there is no truth. Everything's bullshit. And that's not what it did. It just challenged the truths that we have. I mean, if you think about it, we really do think in binary ways. Like, even if I'm not saying there's 2 chairs in the room, you can say, well, that's binary thinking. It's either the red chair or the blue chair. Well, I could even say there's a chair in the room. Well, that's still binary. There's either a chair or no chair, right? And that's kind of how we talk about everything. And when postmodernism came along, it really pushed that skepticism that Brent was referring to later or earlier. And I think it was overall beneficial. It's led to questioning things that we probably still need to use fundamentally.
But it could also be blamed for flat Earth, so I don't know.
It's, but every one of them have their flaws. So I think that's what's really cool about philosophy is it challenges you about a certain topic and uses a perspective that says, hey, maybe that's wrong, or maybe this is how it works, and then you're able to wait like 100 years and find out somebody challenged that guy and he was wrong, and that's the heart of skepticism. And we wouldn't be atheists, we wouldn't be skeptics, we wouldn't be humanists. We wouldn't have all the benefits of science without it.
And a lot of times it's not that they were wrong; they just hadn't thought about all the possible nuance that you can bring out of it.
Exactly.
Yeah, new situations brought on often by evolving technology, evolving situations that they didn't have at the time.
Right.
Cool. So I guess one parting shot I should ask, what would a chair look like? Let's philosophize here. What would a chair look like if your knees bent the other way?
A stool.
Really? You sure?
You tell us.
Hey, we're using philosophy here.
I don't know. What do you want?
Where are you going with this?
Just shows that we don't philosophize very much. Robert,
you could still sit in the chair. You just sit in it with your legs going up.
That's just weird.
but it would work.
Robert, thank you so much for being on the show with us today. But the mic is yours, my friend. If you want to promote the Right to Reason podcast, where can people find you?
I'm on all the podcast outlets, YouTube, also everywhere on all the social media things. But if you just want to keep it simple, just go to therighttoreason.com or check Kevin's show notes today.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Excellent. Robert, before I let you go, I got to have you say, hi, this is Robert Stanley from the Right to Reason podcast, and I took a left in the valley.
My God, I forgot all about that.
I know, right?
That is so cool, dude. I forgot all about that. I'm grinning ear to ear. That's so fun. Okay, I'm gonna do it. The first time I did it, I felt so good. Remember, I tried to make my voice sexy, and like, and you took a left at the valley or something. And you're like, what a great voice.
You want some porn music behind?
That's so corny.
Put some porn music behind.
Like I paused. You took this is Robert Stanley from the Right to Reason podcast, and you took a left at the valley.
Fantastic.
Love it.
That was awesome.
Nobody does it the other way. Everybody's like, "Hi, I'm
Yeah.
and you guys took a left at the valley."
Can I do a sarcastic one?
Of course.
Yes, please.
All right. Hey, this is Robert Stanley from the Right to Reason podcast. No! Did I say you took a left of the valley in the last one?
You did.
At the end of my
That's fine.
At the end of my episode, I always say you have the right to reason,
Yeah,
and that's why I did.
Oh, you're right. I didn't even hear it because I listen to your show too frequently. Oh my God! Weird Mandela effect right there.
All right,
Take two.
Here's a real one, and then a sarcastic one. All right, this is Robert Stanley from the Right to Reason podcast, and I took a left at the valley. And here's the other one. This is Robert Stanley from the Right to Reason podcast, and I took a left at the valley.
Left at the valley.
Yeah, I think I live in the valley. Get off my back.
Take a right.
Took a left at Albuquerque. Fantastic. Okay, let's pause.
Albuquerque. What? Sorry,
Forget the pause. Never mind. That was great. Thanks, Robert.
I always love coming on this podcast.
Oh, boy. I missed this.
I'm so glad you guys are back. Seriously, man.
Oh, well,
Seriously, you need to be doing this. I know you took a hit, brother. You took a couple hits all at the same time.
A lot of
you went
hits.
through fucking shit, man.
Yeah, 2020 was a really messy.
Glad
Hey,
back on the fucking train, brother.
Yeah, well,
2020 was not a bad year.
it was a horrible year. It started really bad.
Yeah, it was pretty rough.
Oh, 2019.
There were Christmas decorations that were literal dumpsters with 2020 written on it that had
Yeah, I
fire
know, I
coming
saw
out
them.
and hang on your tree.
Personally, it wasn't a horrible year. You had some bad things happen.
Did I come off douchey, like trying to act like I'm like a philosophy professor or something? I'm like,
No, not at all.
deontology.
No,
Did
not
it
at
come
all.
off a little douchey?
No, not at all.
No,
Robert.
man,
Come
you're
on.
good,
We
dude.
love you, dude. We love you. Perfect.
I just, I want to give you the thing that you want. Like, you want to do a philosophy episode, so I want to have stuff. But at the same time, it's like, shit, I don't know either, man.
Okay.
Well, this is exactly the point. So we can talk about these things.
That said,
Cunt.
clearly.
Cunt said this. What did you say?
What you call me?
I have to explain philosophy to these peasants now.
Yeah.
Now we can't get monetized by YouTube. This is great.
During the political science bachelor's, it was like super right wing, which you wouldn't think with political science. You would think it would be very liberal, right? And then I go to criminal justice, and I'm doing criminal justice now, and it's super liberal.
Really?
Yeah, which you would think like cops and law and legal would be very conservative. The political people would be all liberal. It's totally opposite. At least in my experience, But
I was just listening to Behind the Bastards, and he was actually talking about how he went to do a gun class, and like the first 30 minutes of the gun class was like about cancel culture somehow.
well, like that it was bad.
Yeah. Like
Yeah,
these
yeah. But
fucking
see, that's what you would
liberals.
expect. That's what you would expect. But I'm saying, like, in my experience so far, because this has been my plan is bachelor political science, master criminal justice, and then doctorate philosophy. Because I feel like that would be a good mix, right? But the poli sci was conservative. It pushed me right. The criminal justice is liberal, and the philosophy I'm really
political
scared.
science pushed you right.
Yeah, it was very right wing. It really
You
was.
gotta get out of Texas, dude. Get out of Texas. You're in the wrong state. Like,
That's what I'm saying. Like, I didn't expect this at all.
But no, that's totally what I would have expected taking political science in the States.
just
I think your
playing,
entire country is right wing.
I agree with that.
I think
if you did it here, it would be a very different experience.
I think so too.
But academia shouldn't be, you know.
Sadly,
like,
it shouldn't be, but it is.
it depends on the teacher, man. Like, I feel like that, and I would be the first
the
to say
teacher was far left.
Oh, the teacher was far left, but
pushing
the material.
feminism shit, dude. That like I would define myself as a feminist, but he was pushing feminism shit that was like just ridiculous. Let me find. Hold on, I got
Like he woman man hater shit. Like,
Well, I mean, remember.
let me come back to the microphone. I know what I'm doing. But anyway, here I'm reading one of the titles of the Laura Solberg. Gendering global conflict toward a feminist theory of war. Like, I'm all about feminism, but what the fuck?
A feminist theory
Like, that's
of
part of his
war?
curriculum. Like there's one thing to say, like, we women need equal rights. It's another thing to say that all of war is anti-woman.
What?
Like, it's a little too simplified. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
I
Like,
would
just
agree,
because
yeah.
I disagree with it doesn't mean I'm like anti-woman myself. It's just like, hold on, what are we doing here? And her whole book, which is like reading War and Peace. It's that thick, but the whole thing was about, well, in war there's lots of rape, and rape is anti-feminist, therefore war is anti-feminist. And it's like, all right, you could have done that in text. You didn't need a book on it. So like, I know I'm coming off like a little. Like I'm sounding like a Republican or something, but that's totally not. It's just the guy was very liberal, but it almost pushed me farther right. And there's a really fascinating article. I want to say it's a Political Science Daily. It's a peer-reviewed journal. It's one of the good ones. But anyway, it's in there, and it's called Red State, Blue State, and it actually. It pushes, it promotes the idea that too much blue causes red, right?
Okay.
So the whole concept is that red inevitably leads to blue, because as soon as you start using the conservative values that you promote, it's going to inevitably lead to better economics, better education, better all these things. Even though they push back against it, but just doing what works is going to make it more successful.
And
it doesn't necessarily.
from the perspective that they were not being berated by a bunch of propaganda on either side. Just naturally.
Saying, like, if I did A, B, and C, A and C didn't work, but B did, so I stick with B. Well, at that point, you're actually conservative, because you're saying, oh, B's very successful, so I'm going to stick with B. But you become the negative version of conservative as soon as somebody comes along and says, here's some D. Bad choice, bad letter. Take some D. But anyway, you know what I mean. Like, they say, here's D, and then you go, no, I'm really committed to B, even though D might be better. I'm not going to do it. And then you're negative conservative. Like, that's bad. But the point of the article was saying, like, no, conservatism leads to better education eventually, and then once you become educated, you then leave being conservative and you start being able to entertain more fascinating ideas, and you kind of become more liberal. That's why academia seems to be filled with liberals, right? And but it also concluded that once you go too far, it's like a rubber band snapback, because once the society becomes more liberal, it causes people to become more conservative, which is what I think we're seeing, where, like, after we had a black president, we get a Trump. Or after you push trans rights, we get, like, well, let's kick trans out of the military. Nobody was even thinking about that before,
Right.
Anyway,
I mean, if you look at, like, and you're right to a degree. Like, if you look at Reconstruction, everything had a automatic reaction that was then a pushback on every step of progression. That a lot of times we had to make every step twice because we made a step, they figured out a way to get rid of it. We made another step, they figured out a way to get rid of it. And then we get, what I mean? It was like then we'd have to redo that step, then take the next step like further actually to progression, and then they would take that away. Then we'd have to get it back and take the next step. But so I do agree.
Obama said it best, but he said, it's not whether you're going forward or back. Sometimes you're taking a couple steps sideways.
Uh-huh.
And
a lot of
As long as
steps.
you're still moving.
a lot of steps.
You're doing the tango, man. Like you're just fucking, with steps all over the place. Right, left, doesn't matter. It's all over.
But yet again, it's a very binary point of view as well, right?
Very
You're right.
binary.
We're very
Binary.
binary. It'd be kind of interesting if somebody could come up with a third alternative to left and right.
There isn't one. There isn't one. That's my biggest problem with you guys in Europe. Is you guys are like, oh, we have more than just two political classes, but you don't.
No, we
you
don't.
just have different gradients.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
We're all on
different
a
shades,
spectrum here.
different shades of it. Yeah,
Yeah,
which I think
to
is
a degree
actually-
makes sense.
Yeah, because
It's like, hey, y'all, we're not this crazy. We're not this like extreme on this stuff. So they can appease more people. I don't know. I kind of get it.
I mean, that's not to say we wouldn't benefit from following your model, for sure, and the European model, for sure.
Well, and at the end of the day,
we
we're still
definitely
a
need more than two
two-party system.
parties.
Yes, we do. Jesus.
For the most part, we're still a two-party system. It's either liberal or conservative.
Well, that's the thing. Since we have more on the left parties, they have it,
and
they
that's
have
how
a
the
tendency-
conservatives get in. Yeah.
Yeah, that's how the conservatives get in, right? Because it splits the
The
vote,
less,
right?
Yeah. So in some ways, having only two parties is a good thing because then the left isn't being split. But that's about the only way.
I think it'd be better if the conservative had more than one party. on
Yeah,
their side.
here, yes. Then we would have the dilution on both sides.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's
Anyway,
been real, but I have to go masturbate now.
Robert, as usual, I'll send you the link as soon as it's up and running.
Catchphrase sign off.
This has been Robert Stanley. Now I need to go masturbate. Thank you for listening.
That's actually pretty good. I would listen to that show. He gets me.
It's just fapping sound. That's all you hear.
Oh my!
Thank you so much, Robert.
man.
I'll send all our love to your family and everything, and we'll hope to
Yes,
talk to you again very soon, my friend.
All right, thanks, guys. Thanks for starting this up again.
No problem. Thank you. All right.
That was awesome.
Is he gone? He's gone. There we go. Perfect.
I'm sorry if I'm chiming in too much. I'm so sorry. I'm
Not
gonna
at
try-
all.
What's that thing? Why are you just chiming in too much? What the hell are you talking about?
No, Nikki always gets on me about that too, and sometimes she's right. So I don't know. I'm just. I'll listen
If
back
anybody
and go, "God damn,
talks
Brent,
here too
shut
much,
up."
it's Kevin. So don't worry.
That's right. If there is one person that talks too much, it's me. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And you think he's like this in real life? Nuh-uh.
I totally am.
Always complaining, saying, "Why don't you ever talk? You're so quiet today. Why are you so
Stop
quiet?
it.
Don't you have anything to say?" And then I look over and he's arguing on Facebook, and then everything makes sense.
So that's where it really matters.
That's right. Facebook is where it matters. All right, let's close this show. Okay.
The real world.
In 3, 2. And that was Robert Stanley. Great guy. Love Robert. Love his show. And it was great to discuss philosophy. You guys learned anything today about this?
I did. I mean, honestly, I always learn something when we have competing ideas like this, and we're all kind of just going, I don't know, maybe this is the case. So it's always a good exercise, I think.
It was nice to. It was kind of interesting that it kind of took us into a bit of a debate because we always run into the problem that, hey, maybe we should debate something. Yeah, what are we debating on? We all agree on everything. That's the problem.
And then today we found out you're still wrong.
Yeah, we don't. We never agree on everything. That's no.
Except today I was wrong, apparently.
No, we just confirmed that
We
you were
just
still
confirmed
wrong.
that. Oh, I'm just confirmed I'm still wrong. Okay, fine, fair enough.
Brent and I are right. It's always going to be pancakes.
Thank you so much, guys, for being on the show today. And thank you to Robert Stanley for being with us. You can follow us at Left of the Valley, on Facebook and on Twitter at LATV Podcast. You can't go to leftofthevalley.com. That doesn't exist anymore.
Do not go there.
Don't go there.
It is not safe for work. Warning.
No. We'll have a website eventually. You can go to Patreon, Patreon/LATV, and you can help support the show, like some of our followers, which we'll name eventually. Or you can send us an email at left.valley@outlook.com. Brent, come on, quick plug for your show, my friend.
Yeah, sure. So I have another show that I do with my girlfriend Nikki called Unapologetics. It's spelled with an X at the end. And you can find it on all the podcatchers and YouTube. And I also do a YouTube channel that is very, very small, but, big at heart.
Mm-hmm.
And is...
Go subscribe. Go subscribe.
It's called The Happy Debating Atheist. And, it's a lot of fun. So you should check it out. And like and subscribe if you can.
Fantastic. Coming up, we'll have... I'm not going to give you who exactly, but we'll have Amy and Amy of Secular Soup. My nemesis is back.
The Amy's.
The Amy's are back. We'll also have our friend David Fitzgerald, and we'll be talking about different gospels. The gospels you don't usually hear about. And we'll also have Joel Backen coming to talk about the Corporation 2, and our friend Daryl Ray at some point is going to make an appearance as well. So,
Yay.
Fantastic. We're going to have a lot of fun. Anything else we need to add?
Have a great
I think
week.
we got it.
Don't forget to go buy your gun nuts.
Exactly.
Right?
I'm on Etsy right now. Let me hold on.
Yeah.
Lock this in here.
Thank you so much, guys. Until next time.
$37. What the? No. For gun nuts? Come on. They don't even produce cum. I mean, at least do something for $37. Jesus. Ridiculous.
All right.
That was good.
Brent, that was just brilliant. The music's playing in the background. Come on, $37? They don't even come. Like, come on, do something. That was just brilliant. It's like, oh my god.
Oh, well done.
I'm laughing. I'm following you.
I have tears. I think we should make Miss Mew an honorary co-host.
Oh,
she likes
God.
to make appearances.
She
she's
got on the
purring.
couch. She's trying to climb on my legs. I'm putting my legs away because she's trying to jump on my lap. And then she climbs on the couch, comes on the table, comes across the table, gets on my lap, and she just sits there and purrs. And while Robert's talking, and I have to shut up my mic because all you can hear is a purr, purr, purr. It's like, oh, fudge. Stupid cat.
Oh, man.
Oh, my
She's
God.
great. The dog just lays here the whole time. He's waiting patiently.
He's just
He doesn't
waiting
realize that it's 1 o'clock. He thinks it's the perfect time to go for a walk right now. So.
All right. Thank you, buddy. I appreciate that, as per usual.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no, I was doing a purring impression.
You were purring or snoring. I wasn't
I was
sure.
going to say, are you being Scott or the cat? Oh, man.
I do have Nikki a lot. I'll cuddle up to her and
Sounds like you're snoring in her ear. All right, sounds good. Anything else we need to say before we sign off there, and have you have the rest of your day, good sir?
Oh, I think we're good. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, please give our best to Nikki as per usual.
Will do.
She's going to be with us next week, right?
I'm going to try.
Oh,
Yeah,
I'm going to be so excited for
to
that.
con her into that. I think I can, though. I think I can. She always enjoys hanging out with them. They're really close, so.
Tell her I'm going to be
Good.
very miserable if she's not. And you know,
Right.
You don't want to make Kevin cry.
Yeah.
It's
That's going to
messy.
be my argument.
Play some violin in the background, you know.
You could get
You know
Kevin to
how
send you some
insecure they
audio.
are without you there, you know? So.
Yeah.
Yeah, Nikki's not there. It's like the world is not complete.
Something wrong, yeah, exactly.
All right. Oh, sounds good, my friend. You have yourself a great day, and I will send you the link as soon as she's up there, which will probably be tomorrow.
Sounds good. Cool, man.
All right, brother. Have a good one, buddy.
Hey, you too. Take it easy.
Have a good
Okay,
week.
bye.
See ya.